Mama, we made it. What it do, oh. Got the Nushi Gucci fucking headscarf on.
Tell him, Nushi.
We got Joe causing me to be ultra Caucasian.
You dig.
Get Out movie reference. You dig? What's poppin'? And we have the lovely Vanessa Chester in the motherfucking building.
Hey.
Brap.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you for coming on.
I'm so excited as well.
So excited. What?
Yo, this is a gorgeous evening.
Yo, I'm very excited about this
I feel
one.
great, y'all. I feel like the energy in this room is absolutely abundant
It's
and
palpable.
gorgeous.
You can just tell some good shit is about to happen.
Yes.
It's about to be a fucking
I'm looking
movie.
like Saddam Hussein's stepson right now.
Absolutely. I'm feeling super safe.
You better.
Super
You
safe.
better. This is pre weapons
yeah,
of mass destruction.
Yeah, like 1993.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like 7 or
This
something.
is low key
everything's great.
Yeah.
Like
Bombs
nothing's
over,
wrong.
yeah, bombs over bad day.
Like, I didn't understand that peace in the Middle East like really needed to happen then.
100%.
Well, look, I'm here to give it and let it be known that it's here. So,
And we're here. Vanessa Chester, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Oh, I love your podcast. It's such a fantastic concept.
Oh,
Well, we're happy to have you.
yes.
So Vanessa, we go back.
We go back.
We go back a little bit, back to the New Kingdom days.
Oh,
When there
shit.
was the lovely flowing locks of hair. That's how long I've known Joe.
Yes.
That's like if you knew me back then, like you're a very real friend.
Right.
Like to accept
Wow,
that into.
Wow, well, accept that into you're a real friend if you accept you now after you've like cut them off.
I mean, I considered ending the friendship.
But there's some little kid out there that's got my hair on, and I want to
Respect.
find it. Yeah, respect.
And you were
Respect.
so awesome about it because I would like get drunk and like just creep up and start twirling your hair, and you would not even like I would be like, get the fuck out of my shit, and you did not even care.
Yo,
so, like,
cats don't realize how luxurious Joe's locks were. Like,
the stuff that legends are made out of.
Yo, I'm
They
gonna go.
really were.
I'm gonna go hunt down my locks and have them on the podcast.
you better. Or we should just do like a wig concept. Like, actually, you know what? I don't even think that would work.
You can't fake that.
Yeah,
You can't fake that.
No, that was pure.
I veto
creative.
that
They're
idea.
never coming back now.
I don't know about that. I might hit that
you like how I threw that?
Yeah, like
You really?
Oh, you want to bet?
I'll start growing this shit right now.
Oh, you think I can't grow it? No. Well, Vanessa, thank you for coming on. This is gonna be amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, we go back. I can't wait to get into your story because, we talk about a lot, like, as you know people, just running the same crews, you go out, you party, you connect on the friend level, but it's kind of rare to actually understand and know the stories of your friends.
Absolutely.
And we get caught
That's
up.
wild, right?
It's
Right,
so crazy.
Yeah, like you know people, but do you really know how the hell they got to this moment?
It's insane because like I talk about it and like just kind of came up on this like form and function concept. And it's like, especially in these areas like LA and New York and all that, like, let's say somebody met you now or like 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? They're not meeting you based on your whole journey. It's just meeting you based on who you've become now.
Absolutely.
So it's like, when people come into our lives, they kind of know like the function part of it as opposed to the form.
100%.
Because it's like everybody's down to like be cool based off energy and all that. But it's like there's something really special about knowing, the path that somebody's taken and what somebody's been through to become who they are. I think it's really special, and I'm really happy that we get to
I think it's
percolate
amazing.
that there.
I think it's fantastic too. And like to speak on what you were saying, like not even knowing your friend's story, especially in the day and age that we live in with like this like obsessive celeb image culture. Like, I guarantee you I have good friends, probably not too good friends because my people really know what's up, but like friends who could probably list Kanye's whole story, all the people in like Entertainment Weekly, but they're like, well, you're just good. You're good. Like they don't know what the hell I had to do to be good.
Straight up.
Quote,
And
unquote,
they don't even know what, like, let's say, like, for example, like flipping through those pages, what Ye's real story is. Like, it's literally what is depicted of us, for those types of people depicted in the media. You know what I mean?
Right. It's what they want to share. And like, I think that this is going to be an awesome and very unique opportunity to say my story in my words from my perspective. And I'm just happy. I'm just going to warn you guys, I might cry.
Hey.
That might happen.
Hey, we've had it.
Cause like,
pretty much every episode.
Yeah.
Cause like, yeah, we'll just see though.
Yeah. Let's let it go there.
100%.
Wherever it goes, that's the beauty of it.
Let it go, let it flow.
Let it go.
As long as I don't short circuit the mic with my tears.
Yeah.
They're just gonna be like blasting off.
They're like, this is the last episode because this bitch fucked our shit up. The equipment's ruined. Thank you, Vanessa Chester.
That would low key be a moment because Eric could have some fire pictures of just tears just spraying everywhere.
Yeah.
Burning consoles. That'd be lit.
Insane.
Be like, she was awesome, but like, Vanessa, we really need you to buy back all of our equipment ASAP. ASAP.
Yeah, the $75, right?
I got you. I'll kickstart it.
Well, Vanessa, what's crazy is like when I first met you and knew you for a while, I actually had no clue you acted.
Most of my friends don't for a while.
And then I think I was like away like in Cleveland, Ohio, celebrating like Thanksgiving at my grandmother's, and I'm like flipping through the channel, and Harriet the Spy was on. I was like, hold on. And I was like, yo. And I went on my phone. I was like, that girl looks identical to Vanessa. And I like Googled it. I was like, what the fuck?
You were like mad about it? Like, what the fuck is
like,
that?
what the fuck?
How dare she?
And I've never seen that movie, but it just I happened to flip through it.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I never saw her. You're right. And I remember I texted you. I was like, yo, is that you? You're like, yeah, that was me. I was like, interesting. And then I was like, you were in Lost World. Oh my. And it was just fucking funny. That like how I found out after the fact. Which I thought was really dope, and it's a testament to your character too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, there was this dude that I hooked up with who, like, a year or two later, like, we were still cool, and he was like, "Yo, I'm watching The Lost World right now, and I had no fucking clue you were in it, and I've seen this movie before." Like, but some people just don't like put two and two together; they just don't expect it.
Yeah,
and he was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "My bad." Like, I'm not gonna walk around with my IMDb credits on a T-shirt.
We're
you know,
over.
Yeah,
but we're already over.
Yeah. Like, you don't have a second chance now. No,
right.
That wasn't it. Like, I don't know. It's crazy though. Yeah, that's
Let's go back a little bit. So let's talk about where you're from, your childhood, just growing up. Where are you from?
I was born in Brooklyn.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I feel like everyone is like, okay, she's cool now. My parents are both from South America, so I'm first generation American, like everything. Like, I'm the fucking pilgrim in the family.
Wow.
Uh-oh. So born in Brooklyn.
What part of Brooklyn?
Kings County Hospital.
And where are your parents from?
Guyana. It's a very, I know. Yeah, good job. I'm so proud of you because most people are like, oh my God, you're Ghanaian. And I'm like, wrong continent. But good try, because I get it. They're both with G's, but nah. Like, like Ghanaians, they're beautiful, but that's not me. So mom and dad are both from Guyana. They are progressive, definitely a third world country, and they decided to immigrate to America, and born in Brooklyn. And let's see, my story kind of starts with acting around 3.
Really?
Yeah, it's like,
how did that come about?
I got decades in this game,
That's
which is
incredible.
crazy. Yeah, so my mom, I don't know what got into her. There's no entertainment scene like there is in America, in Guyana. And even if there was, it's not comparable, you know, in terms of just like the business and the way that people go about it. So
Absolutely.
When my mom told me this story, I was like, wait, how did you not get fleeced for every dime in your bank account? She legitimately was reading the newspaper and saw an ad in the classifieds for a talent agency and was like, you know, Vanessa's like got a lot of personality for a 3-year-old and like talks a lot. Like, let's try this. And I was like, that's how most people end up filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Like, that's how shit gets ruined. Like, whatever. So she did it. My mom's always been blessed and like highly favored. So I guess something was watching over her. And I don't really remember this. Like, I just remember walking down a long hallway when I was little and everyone being like, you're amazing after. And I was just like, cool. Like, do I get McDonald's? Like, because that was like, I knew that if I did shit right, I was going to get that new toy in the Happy Meal. So I was like, whatevs. Yeah. That's my only motivation. Fuck money.
Amazing.
So...
Shit, we would have been best friends.
Right. I was like, oh my gosh. So apparently my mom takes me to this open call where they're trying to like sign a bunch of toddlers. And I don't know if we got there late. I have no idea. But the woman apparently turned to my mom and was like, look, we've signed all the 3-year-olds that we're going to sign for the day. Like, our roster is done. But we don't want to hurt her feelings. Like, she's a little kid and like she came over here and she thinks like she's going to do something. So like, we're going to give her this script or a copy of whatever and have her come in like an audition, but it's not going to go any further. And my mom was like, she's 3. What? She's not gonna be able to read a script. What are you talking about? So I guess she like read it with me and I repeated, went inside and she was like, they walked out with contracts and they were like, we're signing her. And I was like, I mean, I don't remember this. So I'm like, Mom,
you don't remember any
I'm like,
of this.
Mom, you're a fan. Did you make this shit up to make me sound really cool? Because if so, this is the dopest story ever.
Yeah.
But I know she's not lying. So it basically started like that.
That's wild.
Yes. And it's amazing because it was terrific talent, which also sounds like a fake ass agency.
It sounds like,
like we're going to just make you take some like photos.
Their logo is the thumbs up, like sideways.
Right.
Oh, I saw this, near My 2 Cents is this agency called As Seen in TV.
Okay.
And like I see all this shit and I'm like, bro, this is such a sham, bro. Like what, how does this exist openly? You know what I'm saying? Like these testimonials I was reading, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
It's very real.
Yeah, so my mom, like she worked at a law firm at the time, single mom. I don't know how she thought it was going to be possible to like do all that, but she was like, I got it. And she didn't drive, so like we were subwaying all the way to shit.
Wild.
Like, I mean, why do you drive in like Manhattan and Brooklyn? You don't need to, right?
Can't do it.
So it started with little things like, I don't want you guys to get too starstruck, but yes, I was on Sesame Street and I have met Big Bird and all the things.
No way.
You guys, calm down. Autographs after.
I can't even. Yeah.
Autographs after.
Yeah, put your book down.
Anoush, that Big Bird stuffed animal, later, okay? Later.
You don't know how much.
It's so, but I think back about it, and I'm like, because I remember explicitly being on the set of Sesame Street.
What was that like as a kid? Like
it's a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck because you're seeing Snuffleupagus like take his head off, and then 2 people walk out of it, and you're like,
no, wait, Snuffleupagus is 2 people?
If I remember correctly, it was
Guys,
like 2 people.
Okay, podcast is over. Hey, thank you so much.
Yes,
Mama, we made it exclusive.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Yes, and thank your mother for a terrific talent.
And my childhood was ruined. Bye. Yeah, so it started with that, and it was a lot of random, like a Robitussin commercial here, and a this there, and then by far, in my opinion, one of my coolest stories ever. I booked in Living Color.
No.
Lit, right?
Lit.
And I think I did 2 episodes of it, but one of the episodes, there was this little rapper known as Tupac Shakur as the musical guest. Yes.
Shut the fuck up.
And I was like 6 or 7, and I just thought he was super
Stop.
hot.
I'm ending the podcast.
Now we're really ending.
I'm spilling water for the tears that I should have shed.
Yeah, exactly.
Onto this
right.
fucking
It's
mixer
real
right
life. Pac, just all the way, thug life. And I didn't remember that I had met him until I was 9 or 10 and was going through photos.
Yeah.
And saw a photo of him bent down and me yay! like cheesing to the point where my fucking face was breaking. And I've been telling my mom,
I need to see that
where
photograph.
is the photo? Like, I know that photo exists, but I'm like, where the fuck is it in your like piles of Vanessa memorabilia?
I'll go through it myself.
I'm
to
saying,
find that.
like, I need to just like sit, like drink like 7 cups of coffee and like sit down and just go in.
Yes.
I'm like, that photo right there is the only reason why I'm still breathing.
Wow.
I know.
Can I ask you this? Like,
Absolutely.
all of these like instances, commercials, little like shows here and there when you were super young. Looking back on it now, I mean, naturally your path led to all of these things up until now. But when you were a kid and look back at it, do you remember those times, like those shows, those experiences?
I remember the first time I was, because a lot of it started with like extra work, like, you know, just sitting around with 200 other kids, you know, like waiting, not really sure. I didn't really understand always what I was doing, like when I was like 3 or 4.
Got it.
When I was like in it, like the pig pen with everyone else.
Yeah.
But I loved doing it. I loved being the center of attention. I had fun. Like, I didn't get that it was work. I didn't realize, I knew I was getting paid, but I didn't see the checks. I didn't care. Like, I knew that if I did well on audition, like I said, I was going to get a Happy Meal at the end of the day. And I was good with that. And I had fun on set. And I just remember, and I feel like it was one of my first lessons in being professional, regardless of your age, because I've worked with 4-year-olds that are more professional than like the 20-year-olds on set.
Wild.
And I just remember I was doing, I believe it was NutraSweet, a NutraSweet commercial, and the setup was like a family dinner. And I was just like a kid, one of the extras in it. And the little boy who was the principal was like a diva all the way. Like, wouldn't do his lines, was like complaining, blah, 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 blah. And the director was like, fuck this. And like turned to me and was like, do you want to eat Jell-O? And I was like, yeah. Like, that's all I heard. I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, and my mom was very strict about sugar. So I was like, you're saying I have to eat Jell-O for every fucking take? Because I was just sitting there like doing my shit. Like, they were like, this is where you need to stand. This is your mark. Look this way. And I was like, okay, like, I follow directions. And the director was like, I can't work with this kid. Let's use her. And that was the first time I got upgraded from an extra to a principal.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, like that's positive reinforcement. Like, if you do what you're supposed to and act professional, and I've
so
realized
you digested it
and I've realized that was a lesson that I've taken with me throughout most of my projects is talent is a dime a dozen and good looks are a dime a dozen in this city, but like, do I want to actually work with you? Like, a person's temperament on like stage and in business is so telling of their character and just in general. Like, and just being professional has gotten me so much more work from people who were like, not only were you great in what you did, but like, we enjoy you as a human being. So
that's incredible because I feel like in this entertainment world, like that's a concept that's so foreign to so many. Like, everybody's just thinking about being on.
Insane.
But like, you don't get, and this crosses all platforms and mediums of like entertainment because you know, in the music game, the way I saw it, and I think that it just translates to every form of entertainment, is if you're gonna win, people have to want to see you win. Absolutely.
People have to be behind you.
Yeah. And like, you're not gonna get that with a diva ass attitude. No. You know what I'm saying?
Or like just to go on your point of people wanting to see you win, like I have met celebrities that I look up to, that I'm fans of, who have dismissed the fuck out of me. Like, to the point where I was just stunned. And I'm like, but you realize that, and not just me, but like me times a million, that's the reason why you're relevant.
Yeah.
How do you not? And I know there are the few who like can be assholes and people are still working with them, but like they go home at night and meditate and have a drink because they can't deal with how horrible you are on set, you know?
Yeah.
But they got to deal with it. And I'm like, fans, that's who you gotta give all your love to.
Absolutely.
All the love.
Absolutely,
like, what? I don't know. It's crazy.
No, I feel that completely. It's like it's like, you know, when you meet your hero and it doesn't turn out to be the person that you thought it was.
Yeah.
It is such a horrible, like, reality check. Like the reality check that you don't want. But for me, when it happened, I was like, never again. Like, I've never, ever dismissed a fan, but like now I probably overcompensate because I never want anyone to feel the way I was
how
made
are
to.
you? Come over, please.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, do you want my phone number? Like, should we snap? Like, can we text? Make sure, let me know if you got home all right. Like, just way too fucking overzealous. Like, they're like, honestly, I liked her before, but she was so fucking nice, I hate her now. Like, that's what I want them to think is like, this bitch is way too nice. Like,
that's incredible.
yes.
So as a kid, you know, your life is a little bit unconventional.
Absolutely.
What was school and friends and that dynamic like for you while paralleling that with the acting world?
I'm really lucky because, and maybe it's because my mom and dad didn't have access to the best education. Education was always their primary thing. Like my mom was like, she was not even close to being a stage mom. Like, I wish, like, I would see some of my other actor friends and be like, my mom does not treat me special at all. Like, try pretending you're sick because you just don't want to go to school for a quiz, and your mom being like, I know you're an actress, don't pull that shit on me, you're going to class. And I'm like,
wow.
But I'm like real life dying right now. Like, I'm not that good of an actor. Like, what are you saying? Like, it's not that serious, Mom. But like, my mom was adamant about keeping me in school. Like, I never homeschooled throughout the entire times I was filming. Never, not once. Like, and it was amazing because like I would go off and like for the Lost World, I was the only child on set. So you have to, by law, have 3 hours of schooling a day. And it's incredible because I'm working one-on-one with a tutor for 3 hours a day. When I would go back to school, I'd be like 3 months ahead of them because I had such like solitary, focused attention that I would go back and my teachers would be like, we're not even there yet. So I was like acting and becoming a genius all at once. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
What was that like? Did you have to skip grades or like what was?
I've always been like a major nerd. Like I've always been all about school. Like Bill Nye the Science Guy is one of my favorite human
legend.
I'm saying, dude, like he is one of my favorite human beings in the world.
Have you ever met him?
No, and I've imagined it in my head and like teared up thinking about it. Like a fucking crazy person. Like just like I was watching his new show, Bill Nye Saves the World, on Netflix like a day or two ago, and just thinking, and I got super nostalgic because I was the kid in like 6th and 8th grade when like the teacher would roll in the AV set. I was like, it's Bill Nye Day. Like freak the fuck out. And like even some of my friends from high school now still are like, we will never forget you in like junior high, like in the back pumping your fists like Bill. Like, because I was like, let's turn up. 8th grade, we're doing science experiments and we're not learning shit. We're watching this dude today. You know what I mean?
I used to love seeing that TV get rolled in.
Oh, it's the best.
When the VCR's popping, it's just like, oh, there we
you're
go.
like, no. You're like, okay, it's going to be a great
Relax
day.
time.
And like recess next. So like I'm killing it as a 13-year-old.
For
like
real.
killing it.
Straight up.
Yeah, so I was lucky. Like I was always like very social and I always had a good group of friends and I never felt like an outsider. Like I actually thinking about it in like 3rd, 4th grade. No, let's go back a little bit. Okay, we got to go back a little bit. Okay. So New York, right? We are it's like 91, 92 the recession. My mom gets laid off. And
what did your mom do?
She was a secretary or paralegal at a law firm. I don't know. Whoops. Probably. I'll find that out. That'll be the next episode. I'll come back with my mom's life story.
The next episode, we're gonna get your mom on here.
Oh my Jesus. Oh man, she's a trip. So my agent was like, you know what, Vanessa's doing all right in New York, but I think she should really go to LA for 6 months and try out pilot season. Like that's where the legitimate stuff happens. Like the pilots, the commercials, the this and that. Like,
and how old are you here?
I want to say I'm like 6.
Okay, so you
couldn't be younger than 6. Yeah. So my brother was born when I was 5.5, and he moved with us, so he was definitely around. Want to say around maybe like 7 or 8. We moved out here in January, and I didn't know. I was just like, cool, we're going to some place for like, you know, however long because I'm supposed to act over there. Like I'm 8. I can't control where I go, you know? And it was just this new experience. Like it was sunny all the time. I was expecting to see hot dog stands and like Italian icy little kiosk everywhere because I was used to growing up in Brooklyn and Manhattan. Like I remember my mom and I trying to flag down a cab for like 30 minutes to go to a audition, and someone was like, you guys are from the East Coast, huh? Like you have to call cab companies here. And I was like, this place sucks. Like what? I was like, this is whack. And like, I don't even know how long it took, but I just started booking like fucking crazy, like insane. Like I booked this, and it's just so funny to look back on my motivations for why. Like I always enjoyed it, but like there are kids that I know today that are actors that know they're getting paid, and I knew, but I couldn't like really wrap my head around the concept. All I know is I booked a Barbie commercial. And so we filmed at like the Mattel plant, the company, whatever. And they have like a Barbie store. And they were like, all right, guys, since you're doing our new commercial, just go in there and pick whatever Barbie you want. And I was like, wait, run that back again? What do you mean? Like, cause like I didn't, like my family, I didn't come from a lot of money. So like these type of things were like, wait, you're just going to give me one? So in my mind, I was like, book a McDonald's. I was like, book a Barbie commercial, get a free Mattel Barbie. Like, that's the way it worked. Like, I get to pick one, plus they give me the one that I actually like made the commercial for. Yeah. So I booked like 7 commercials in the first year that I was here. And
that's incredible.
Yeah. My mom was like, I love this place. The weather's amazing. People actually say hi to you on the street. Why would we fucking go back to New York? And my agent and manager were like, look, she's killing it. If there's no reason to go back, why would you go back? And literally to this day, I'm still here for 6 months trying out pilot season. We never went back.
Wow.
Ever. And then I don't know what the time frame is, but like I want to say like a couple months later, I booked my first movie, and then like
what was your first movie?
A Little Princess with Alfonso Cuarón.
Incredible.
Do you know he just did Gravity? And it was his first American film.
Wow.
And it was one of the most amazing, like I can't say I've had a bad experience on set, and I know a lot of people who have, and I'm just so grateful that it's always left me like more enriched.
What's it like for a kid on set? Like even as you're growing, like it's like this little play world for you.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
right? But like
A Little Princess was interesting because it was myself and like 10 other little girls. So it was just playtime all the time. Whereas The Lost World was like me in like the school trailer, like, oh my God, I hope the 3 hours are over so I can go like hang out with Vince Vaughn. Like The Little Princess was like, okay, party time with everyone in class. Like, let's be stupid. And then like, okay, like, oh, one of us has to go to set. Wow. And Alfonso was amazing. He was super young. It was his first film. He is a dad and he's fantastic with kids. So like, Liesl and I, the girl who was the lead, like we would be putting curlers in his hair as he's trying to direct a really serious scene. And he'd be like, he didn't yell much, but if he did, he was like yelling at the crew with like pink sponge curlers in his hair. Because the little girls had like just decked him out. Like,
that's incredible.
Yeah. And so like he was just, and like I remember, it's so funny because I didn't know, and it's so funny to think about being a child and going through all of these adult motions that adults in the industry would kill for. And I think that's why kids sometimes do so well, because they're not putting so much on it. They're just having fun. They're living the experience. They're enjoying the journey. Absolutely. You know what I mean? They're not like, this booking is the difference between like Rent and like being famous and this and that. Like,
it's really wild that you say that because, and it's crazy because like in our building, there's a casting office. I forget what the fuck it's called, but like, I've been brought up for 2 commercials, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the fuck that whole process is like, because like, people that are in that industry are going to casting after casting after casting.
It's a numbers game. It's like Tinder to an extent. Like, it's fucked up.
I hear about some of these model castings and all this shit, and it's just like people looking at each other crazy, all this. I see these people just like so tight. And like for a person, like I feel like I was a little kid going on. I was like, "What's up, y'all? How we doing?
Yeah,
we good?
Yeah,
what's good, y'all? y'all good? Wait, this way?
Yeah,
That
and
way?
you know what? For the people who are probably seeing cookie cutter robotic people all day trying to please them, they're like, "Good God, a fresh breath of air." Like,
yeah.
I remember once my mom told me, and this is probably my favorite story. She said I had a commercial audition in New York, and I went into the audition, and apparently my 4 or 5 year old mind thought that I knew the director. So I walked in and I was like, "Oh my God, how are you? It's been so long. How you been?" And I refused to do the actual lines because I was like, why won't we talk about how long it's been since we last saw each other? Like, and I just was like, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Obviously I confused him with someone else. Yeah. But my mom said that he came out and was like, "We're not even alerting the agent. Your daughter booked this commercial. I don't know how the fuck she convinced me that I know her somehow." But she went in there, and I was like, I must have met this 4 or 5 year old at some point because she's so damn adamant that she won't read her lines. Like, and I was like, I was crazy from day one. Like, just Jump Street, just out of my mind.
That's
like,
incredible.
But I'm sure to them, they're like, we've got all these little kids, like, who are cookie cutter, like, and I was such a tomboy too, like, and very like, ooh, fuck all, like, I hate pink, I like green, blah, 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 like, I play in the dirt and science and this and that, and like, I remember I lost a friend in LA because we gave her a ride to an audition, and like, looking back, like, what the fuck were you guys thinking? It was like a soft soap ad, like a little girl who was like dirty. And I just remember like we were taking them to the audition. And so I was in like overalls and a t-shirt, and my hair was probably like to the side and fucked up. And my friend was like in a ballroom gown, right?
Oh, wow.
Everyone was like decked out. Like, what? And the casting director was like, to my mom, she was like, "Oh, is she an actress?" And my mom was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Well, can she audition?" And my mom was like, "Okay." And I booked it. The girl stopped talking to me. I was like,
wow.
Well, don't wear ballroom gowns to fucking auditions. That you're supposed to be a real life child. Like, don't do that, you know?
Yeah.
Just be real.
And
people respond to that.
It's wild how cutthroat that shit is. Like, for no reason, though. Like, I get it. Like, look, you got to see people going after a specific role or whatnot. But it's like, hearing these horror stories, it's
people
wild.
Are ruthless. And it's crazy because, like, one thing that I've learned is, like, every role that has been meant for me, I didn't have to do much but be prepared and show up for what I was there to do. So if something's meant for me, I don't have to put someone else down to ensure that I book it.
Did you deal with that a lot?
All day.
Like, what was that like?
It's just hard, but you get...
Especially as a kid, that has to be fucked up.
Well, I got picked on a lot when I was little, like a lot. And it was because I was an actor. And this is
at school?
Yeah. And this, like, when I first moved out to LA, like, I went to the Little Red Schoolhouse on Highland. Everyone's past it. Everyone was at school. But I was fucking smart, and I got skipped a grade. So I was like a 4th grader with like 6th and 7th graders in math.
And that's a giant
step. They're not into it. They're not into it at all.
And kids are ruthless.
Yeah.
And they knew that I would like leave for auditions here and there. And like, some were jealous. Some were just like, "Oh, it's easy because she's like an artistic, weird kid." And I was like skinny and like awkward, just weird. Like all the girls would like dress as princesses for Halloween. And I was like, I just got out of a car accident. Like, I remember coming like to class with my eye out, and everyone was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, we're supposed to be sexy at 9? Like, what the fuck is going on?" Like I had like gauze wrapped around my head. Like, "Look, you guys, I just got in an accident." And everyone's like, "You're that weird actor kid."
That's hilarious.
And I was weird. Like, I was a strange kid, but like it's because I was creative.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, and also like, when you're put in very adult situations at such a young age, you mature very rapidly because you have to be able to communicate. And I definitely believe that I was mature for my age, but being in that industry where you're working with adults who are expecting you to be professional, like, I understood that at a very young age. Like, I got to raise the fucking bar. Like, I'm going to be in an adult world. And my mom was very forthright with it. She was like, "Look, you're going to be in some situations where, like, you know, like, there's some creepy casting directors or like weird people around." And she sat down with me and she was like, "If you ever have a meeting where you feel uncomfortable, just know you come to me right after, or you walk out. You don't put up with any of that shit. Like my mom, like
that's incredible.
And I'm so lucky because I know a lot of kids who are very screwed up now because they realize that their parents put their career ahead of their own interests.
Well, that's the stigma a lot with child actors. That's the big thing is like, there is that stigma like, oh, you're a child actor.
Yeah.
You probably end up like kind of fucked up
Yeah.
or like your parents stole your money or there's
Absolutely.
like all that shit that surrounds that whole like child actor thing.
Absolutely. I had, cause I kind of like took a little like break. Like I was still auditioning and filming while I was in college. But once I was done, I like started again and I saw a casting director that I hadn't seen in years. And she was like looking at my resume and she was like, oh my gosh, A Little Princess, Lost World. Well, oh my gosh. So wait, where were you for the last 4 or 5 years? And I was like, oh, I was at USC, like studying. And she was like, oh, I thought you were going to fight on all day.
You dig? We got Trojans in the building, yo.
Trojans.
Okay, good. Thank God. I was like, don't ruin this podcast.
I'm a Trojan.
I was like, don't ruin this shit.
Yo,
Hey,
if y'all saw the side eye she just gave Joe, like, you better be
Like
a Trojan,
lasers,
motherfucker.
like lasers out of my eye. Like I was about to be like,
I'm a
just like flip
Trojan.
the table and walk out.
For real.
Fight out, B.
Yeah, but she was like, oh, I thought. Fight on all day.
Oh, that was epic.
Yeah, I mean, and she literally was like, oh my God, okay, college, great. I thought maybe rehab. And I was like, damn.
Oh, wow.
Like, I didn't think that she was like,
took it right.
What
yeah,
the
like,
fuck?
yeah, like she was like,
4-year stint.
stay alive, yeah?
Yo, she took it there.
All the way, all the way.
Wow.
And I was like, I get it because I can't even say that I don't know people who that hasn't happened to. You know, like I know that is a case. It's just sad that would be the first thing that someone jumps to rather than like, oh, you made it out alive. Like, okay, cool, dope.
You made it out.
Yeah, like you survived. Like that's probably one of the most frequent comments I get is like, wow, you're well adjusted. Like,
Now, what about like as a kid socially? Did you have a core group of friends?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
Were they all actors or were they?
No,
Oh,
and it's
very
kind
cool.
of been that way. Like I have a lot of friends that are actors. I have friends that are doing so many amazing things, but that's not my requirement for friendship.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I want.
If it happens, it is.
Yeah, like
but
if you happen to be an actor, like cool. Like that's one more thing that we have in common that we can bond over. But like, that's not why I become friends with people. Like, I mean, I was friends with you because of your hair. Like that's
right.
what I went for.
I feel you.
I was
get
like,
it.
okay, fine, fuck it. He's not an actor. Okay, cool, musician. What else works? Oh, his hair.
There it is.
So
Got it.
Here it is. Started
Here it
from the
is.
bottom, now we're here.
Here it is.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and even today, most of my friends, they're a lot of them are in creative. They're actually a lot of them are in entertainment, but they're doing different things. Whether like they represent films, or they're agents, or they're directors, or they're writers, or whatever. And I like that because I feel like the more people I'm around, the more life I live. It's just more shit in my arsenal to portray those stories when I am on set, you know?
Because it's interesting. I mean, you have a very different life from 99% of kids. Like growing up, like straight up, you know, most kids are like playing AYSO soccer.
Absolutely.
Or
And I wanted to so badly and I couldn't.
what did you have any like quarrels with that, or did you like?
I was very active in school and very social. And like there were times where like I would be sad that I was filming and missing things that were happening at school. Like I remember when like I was doing Harriet the Spy and God, this is so dramatic. I was doing Harriet the Spy. I had just gotten 2 hamsters before I left and booked the movie, but it filmed in Toronto, right? So I gave my science class the hamsters. I was like, take care of these while I'm gone. Like this will be like the class's, you know, pets while I'm out. Cause like I can't take this shit to like Canada. I don't know how Border Patrol is. What I'm 10, you know? So I'm talking to one of my friends, Zoe, on the phone because like my mom was like, see how your friends are doing, blah, 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 blah. And Zoe was like, yeah, it was like really fucked up that like Mocha, and she didn't say fucked up because she was 9, but she was like, Mocha and Vanilla died because I had a brown and white hamster and I named him Mocha and Vanilla.
How long into this trip?
I think I was like,
that just seemed hella quick.
Yo, I think I was like, I think it was like, I don't know. This is just me trying to guess time back in that age.
Don't worry, this is going to be a Donald Trump
maybe
fact
like
check,
right. Alternative facts. It was 2 weeks ago. So like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks into filming.
Holy shit.
And my mom had known that they
Oh
died.
my God.
But she didn't tell me because she didn't want to fuck up my like.
So
then I was like, wait. So this is a 2-part betrayal? Like they died, mom knew, didn't tell me, and I'm supposed to fucking go to set tomorrow and like pretend that everything's honky-dory. And I just remember being on my bed, and this is when I know I'm a dramatic ass actress. I just remember being on my bed and like writing like October 26th, like in my diary. Yeah. I was obsessed with Anne Frank, so I was like, I got a diary because I want to be her. And so I'm like writing, and I'm like, October 26th, like Zoe just called and told me that like Vanilla died, and like I just feel so betrayed because no one told me. As I'm writing and seeing like my teardrops like spread on the journal paper, and then the paper's like crinkling because it's wet.
Yep.
And like that was me as a child, like
Incredible.
So dramatic.
Incredible.
But like I always kept in contact with my people. Like I remember there was a scene in Jurassic Park, and so many people were like, God, your mom is a saint, because they wanted to fly us out to Hawaii for a week for a scene. But it was the same scene. It was the same week that my June recital was in school. And I loved the June recital. Like, we worked on, like, a dance. We sang. We performed. And, like, it's just so funny to think of my mentality, because I wanted to be on stage and I wanted people to see me and, like, adore me. And I didn't get that I was in fucking Steven Spielberg's movie. And I was like, no, I want to perform on Highland and Fountain. And I was like, no, Mom, if they don't need me, I want to do the recital. And she was like,
yeah.
So we're just not going to get a free vacation?
Tell Stevie.
Yeah. And I don't know.
You can go tell Steven that I have school and I have a recital. Okay?
I mean, like, when I look back at some of the shit that I did, I'm like, oh, you did not care about your career at all. Like,
wow.
I remember one of the first times shooting with Steven, we had done a couple of scenes, and it was another scene, and they wanted me to cry in it. And I was like, Kelly is not a fucking crier. Like, if she's gonna stow away on a damn trailer without her dad knowing to go to this island with dinosaurs on it, like, this girl's got balls, you know? And I didn't want to cry. And he was like, okay, I think, like, I want you to cry in this scene. And I remember being like, I don't think I should. And, like, he had, like, a micro emotion, like, what just happened?
Really?
Like kind of just like, what? But I think he was like, if I casted her to play this part and I trust myself, then I should trust that she knows what Kelly would do in this situation, you know?
How does that like, I can't even speak for him, but like that distinction being made though, right? Because like some people wanting somebody to cry, they'll just be like, no, I don't want to cry. But you actually at that moment thought like, look, this is my character.
Yeah, I just was like, she wouldn't. Like, it just didn't seem natural. Like, it just didn't seem like the progression of that moment in her life to me.
And
like,
you knew that then. Like,
yeah,
you embodied that character.
I think that the driving factor was I didn't want to cry. But I think I also knew, like, Kelly's strong. Like, she's a strong little badass. If she made it all the way here, she's like, yeah, she could be scared that her dad's mad at her and like all that. But I don't think that this is it. And looking back, I'm like, I think I made the right decision.
Yeah. What was that interaction like?
He was super chill about it. Like, he was just like, okay, all right, well, yeah. Okay, well, if you don't think she should cry, well, let's just try it your way. Like, I think he realized, like, I'm not into this direction.
Yeah.
And I didn't think much of it after. And then after, I remember, like, telling my agent, they were like, what? You told Spielberg no? And I was like, yes.
Yo.
And they're not going to fire me now. We were, like, 2 weeks into shooting, right? I was like, I'm good, right?
I'm
like,
okay, right?
It's really fucking expensive to find another one of me, right? What? Oh, God. Did I fuck up? Okay.
Did they freak you out?
No. The thing that's crazy is, so A Little Princess was my first movie, and I actually met Steven Spielberg at the party for A Little Princess.
Wow.
He has a daughter named Sasha,
Okay.
who's a fantastic singer, just
Awesome.
to plug her for
Awesome.
no reason. So Sasha was there, and she wanted to meet me, and I just remember all, like, my agent, my manager, my mom, and, like, all of the paparazzi, you know, Steven Spielberg just, like, kneel down and talk to this little girl, and everyone's, like, hovering, like, oh, my God, this is so special. And I'm just like, who the fuck is this dude in the flannel and the baseball cap? Like, all the kids are over there playing. Like, what is he saying to me right now? Like,
Wild.
I'm missing time with the kids, you know?
Yeah.
Just no comprehension of who is standing in front of me. And he was like, I just want to let you know, I think you're fantastic. And I was like, oh, thank you so much, you know? And he's like, can you sign this for me? And I was like, sure, you know? And everyone's like geeking out. And then he was like, I just want to let you know, I'm going to use you in a movie one day.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I literally was like, okay, like, sure, right? You know? 2 or 3 years later, I got a fucking call from DreamWorks. They were like, Steven Spielberg wants to meet with you for Jurassic Park 2. And I just remember being like, holy shit. He told me 3 years ago he was going to use me in a movie.
That's
and
insane.
I didn't think shit about it. I was like, okay, I gotta go get punched with the kids, you know?
Though.
Like, and I just remember, like, I feel like that was the moment when I was like, oh, this is not only fun, this is not a game. Like,
this is not
a game in the smallest regard. Like, that's when shit got serious. Like,
how old were you at that point?
I think I was 11
when you got the call.
when I got it. I
So
think
you
I
met
was
him at like 7,
I think I was
8-ish?
11 to 12, and I think, let's see. Yeah, when it came out, it was May of 97, so I was 12.
Okay.
So I was probably like
11-ish.
late 10s to
yeah.
early 11s.
That's
or
incredible.
In the 11s when I was
That's incredible that it like clicks then. You know what I'm saying? Like in that moment you thought nothing of it.
Right.
You're a kid, you don't really know this guy like that.
Well, it's crazy because the process, like most of my audition processes before The Lost World, it was like, you go in on like a Monday, you maybe get a call back, you go in on Wednesday, maybe you find out you book it by Friday, and then you're filming next week.
Oh, wow.
You know, like, I mean, there have been things where I've like there was something that I booked last year that I literally auditioned for, never got a call back, never heard shit from them, like was living my life, and then got an email with an offer that I had booked it. And I literally told my manager, I was like, I didn't even go on this shit. What are you talking about? And then was like, oh shit, I went on it a month ago. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, what? Like,
That's lit.
they just didn't even, they were like, fuck it, we're just gonna book her. I wish they were all like that, like all of it. So basically, they were like, Spielberg wants to meet with you for Jurassic Park 2. And I was like, okay, just like another audition, which I think, thank God I thought of it that way, because everyone else was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know, everyone's freaking out. Like, just the possibilities of having this opportunity, what it could lead to. So I show up to, I think DreamWorks was around at this time. If not, it was Amblin. So I show up. Everyone's like, hi, oh my God, do you need anything? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, huh? Like, I'm 12, you know? Yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're in this office, and Spielberg comes out in his, you know, flannel baseball cap, sits across from me, pushes his seat back, and just puts his feet on top of the table. And I was like, oh, we're good. Like, I was like, oh, we're so good. Like, we are so good.
That's
like, you
lit.
know, like, because I feel like the thing that I think is fantastic about, and also Alfonso Cuarón and Bronwyn Hughes, who did Harriet the Spy, like, you have to be a specific type of director to work with kids.
Yeah,
to work with kids, to understand them, to get them to do what you want them to do, because they could revert very easily to a brat.
Without making it seem like it's an order.
Exactly, without it being like a hierarchy of like, I'm your superior, you know? Like, that's why, like, when...
You almost have to have a kid buy in. You know what I'm saying? Being like, wait,
trust.
yes,
it's absolute trust.
Yeah.
Like, and he has, I don't even know, like 5 or 6 kids, so he understands. And I mean, even if he didn't have kids, if you were to just think about the way he directs and the projects he does, he's a child at heart, absolutely. So he gets the kids, you know? And so he just started. Nothing was acting related. It was just like, so what are you doing? Like, what are you studying in school? And I was 12. or 11.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm studying the Holocaust.
Ooh.
I didn't know that he was like the guy
Yeah.
on I didn't know, And so I was like, oh, I'm studying the Holocaust, and his like whole life blew up. And I was like, I'm like obsessed with Anne Frank. Like I'm reading her diary, and I was all the way obsessed with Anne Frank. And I still have this weird like I've watched all the Holocaust films. Like I read up on it, World War II.
Really?
Like there's some weird, I don't know what it is, but like I think that when I found out that something that devastating had happened in history, I just couldn't believe that shit happened. Like I was like, wait, you're saying this really happened? And so like in order to process, like I just remember being like, what do you mean one man was able to get a bunch of people to kill, like to get behind killing people for differences? Like I could not comprehend that. I still can't fucking comprehend it. And I'm glad I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't want to understand that type of hate, you know? Yeah. So I'm good on that. But I was just like, I was just like, Anne Frank. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, like I'm studying like the Holocaust and this and that. And he's like, so what do you like know about it? And I was like, well, this happened. He was like, hold up, stay right here. Like walked out, came back with like 6 videos and like 3 books on the Holocaust and was like, here. And I was like, oh, like I was just like, yes, more fucking information, you know, like more information, right?
Wow.
So left in like the meeting. I think it was more for him to see like my temperament. Who is this little girl that I might possibly want to put in like one of the largest sequels to date right now? Because Jurassic Park, watch that shit right now. It's legendary. It'll always be. And
100%.
I mean, I can't look at like water ripple without thinking like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't like that sparkling water. There's a T-Rex on Wilshire.
For real. No, it's on Sunset
like
right
that
now.
shit is around, you know? And so that was the first meeting. And then I want to say like, I don't know, like a week or 2 went by. I don't remember any of the time frame. Yeah. And they were like, okay, so Spielberg wants to have Vanessa read. Like, I guess I passed like phase 1.
Yeah,
level
the personality.
Yeah. Like she's got a personality. We like phase 1. So I got past phase 1, which was dope. And they were like, Spielberg wants Vanessa to read with Jeff Goldblum. This is how ridiculously unaware I was. In my mind, I was reading with Sam Neill. Is it Sam O'Neill? Ooh, Jurassic Park fans are going to listen to this and be like, bitch. Edit. How did you guys say that all worked? Okay, cool. Because that might be the first edit of the podcast.
That might be the best non-edit I've ever heard.
I just basically solidify that that's not going anywhere.
Edit.
It's going nowhere.
That was so beautiful.
Shit. Okay. I'm on IMDb. Like, I know his name. Regroup. Yeah. So I thought that I was reading with him, and I walk into this conference room, and I just remember there being a huge like oval conference table and just empty chairs surrounding it. And I had this like fake script that they had made up because it was like everything was super under wraps. I'm thinking it's going to be like most of my auditions where there's like a camera set up and blah, 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 blah. No, this shit was so raw. It's Steven Spielberg on like a Sony camcorder and a tripod and me and Jeff Goldblum.
Did that phase you in any type of way?
I think
just in terms of like the moment, like whoa.
I think I started to get it, but one thing that I still pride myself on is like when shit gets hot, I keep my cool. Like that's when I become more grounded and more focused.
And you've been doing this.
Yeah, and so like it was one of those things where I think it was like a micro like thought of like, okay, this is not the time to get in your head and fuck up. This is not the time to like think about what's happening and not be present.
Yeah.
And
it's incredible to have that poise at that young of an age,
this is
though.
a poised version of myself describing how I think I went through it. I don't think I was I don't think I was that dope. But it was one of those things where I was like, I started to understand, like, there's a lot riding on this. Like, even, like, there's not even a lot riding on this, but, like, there's so much opportunity that could open up if I just show up, you know? And if I just give my 100%, then at least I can walk away here and not be like, I didn't try, or I was scared, so I like crapped out because I didn't know if I had the ability to rise to the challenge. Like, I'd rather try and fail than not even try at all, you know?
Did you ever deal with that before? Just before we get into this, did you ever deal with those moments in auditions where you're like, where you were scared and fucked it up?
Absolutely.
Oh, so
absolutely.
Okay.
Like, I always cared. Like, and it's really hard too when you're young. And like, I remember there was this one show where went on the first call, second call back, then I did a third call back, then it was like a fourth call back with like producers and this and that. And in my like 7-year-old mind, I was like, I killed that shit. Like, I had decided already that I booked it, and I found out I didn't. And I was crying, I was on my bed, like, the world is ending, because I had just, I let myself down. I had already projected myself into the future of, I booked it, you know? And it's so funny. And I told my mom this the other day. I was like, I don't know if you remember this, but I feel like the way she handled it was probably, my mom was, she's everything, like all of it plus more. She was basically like, oh no. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm crying, like, all the way a CW fucking series on my head, you know, like, just dramatic as hell. And she was like, oh no, yeah, you're gonna have to stop acting. And I was like, what? Like, snap me the fuck out of it.
Wow.
And she was like, no. She was like, if you're gonna act this way every time you don't book something, you're not cut out for this shit. And I was like,
oh shit.
Yeah, she, like, that's what you get when you have like a foreign ass Caribbean mom. They're like, we don't play that. Like, she was like, no. She was like, She's like, we can't have this. If every time you don't book something, you're gonna cry and it's the end of the world. She's like, you're not cut out for this. I think I need to take you out of it. And I was like, oh, no.
I was just acting right there. You see that?
Said, no.
I was like, I was practicing for an Oscar, Mother, that was just preparation for the next role next week.
You're interrupting my scene, Mom.
I was like, Mom, I'm a method actor for an audition. I don't know what the fuck is going to be, but that snapped me out of it so quickly.
That's incredible,
because she was like, no. And she sat me down and she was like, look, if you're going to take every bit of rejection as a personal offense, you're not cut out for this. And she's like, because if every time you don't book something, it makes you doubt your talent or whether you're worthwhile, you're not going to make it. She goes, because you're going to go to one casting director that's going to say you're too pretty. You're going to go to one that says you're too ugly, too old, too young, too small, too big. She's like, you can't please everyone.
That's a gorgeous wake-up call, especially from a mother at that age this game.
I knew she cared.
Yeah.
Like, looking back.
That's the only person that could ever come from or pierce.
Right. Yeah. And
like, your manager can't tell you that at that age.
Yeah, because you're like, they have a vested interest in keeping me in this business.
And also your mom, like, toughening you up. Like, usually be like, oh, baby, don't worry. No, it's okay. But like, she knew.
She made me resilient.
If you're gonna be here, rejection is the part of this game.
Right. And she was like, you're not. And it's just, I don't even think she realized what she was doing. She was being
a mother. Flat out.
All day. And I think once she put it in perspective, like, to my little 7-year-old brain, like, no, you can't act like this every time shit doesn't go your way in acting and just in general in life.
Yeah.
It was a serious lesson that I always think of, because there are times when you really, even today, where I'm like, what? I didn't book that? Like, and I remember, like, it doesn't mean that my talent is any, like, it doesn't degrade. It's not less than because of that. I just may not have been right for that role. And I've realized that, like, I can't take it as a personal rejection of I'm not worthy and, like, let my self-worth and self-esteem plummet. Like, that's how a lot of fucking people end up in rehab. And, like, I think that's why she was like, I got to keep her in school, because if she's busy,
it's a sense of normalcy.
Yeah, it's normalcy, and it's also like, if she's got other shit going on for her, she can't focus on only acting and only auditions. And like, that's not her world, you know? Like, it was like, oh, like, what are my friends doing at school? Or like, I got to get like the new Sanrio backpack because everyone's going to have like Hello Kitty and Karopi. okay, can we get it after I do my lines? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so that's always been my normal, is balancing this creative life with, I guess, the part that, like, you know, like when Joe met me, he met the Vanessa that he didn't know was an actor, I guess, you know? And that's always been like this like symbiosis of like two worlds.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of that creative path for the ones that like walk it and are able to kind of go through hell and back within it, is that you're a human being first.
Absolutely.
Like, you're a creator in any other medium second. It's almost like it's a learned skill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like a lot of people forget that on that path, and especially those, like, I feel like it's much like the story of somebody that was successful acting as a child and then has continued that path, or some even haven't, but it's extremely compelling because those are our formative years, right? And for those that are able to have that kind of spotlight in that age, you know, when people talk about like, oh, rap music and video games and all that, no, like, you're being immersed into a life of opulence, and it's also just seedy waters until it's not. Like, it's literally seedy water until like 10 feet where the camera can catch the shiny beach light.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Let's be real, like, preteens and teenage years are awkward in itself, without having the whole world like scrutinize you. Like, thank God social media wasn't a thing when I was little.
Wow.
Whew. Very happy about that. Very happy. It would be
For
a very
real.
different game.
It would be
like,
extremely different.
because I couldn't, like, I only like, there's, I'm lucky. There's so many people who like love my work and who are so supportive, and I'm so grateful for social media for like being able to be connected to those people.
Absolutely.
But fuck Google. I've also found websites that are like whywehatekellymalcolm.com, and I'm like, why? I'm so nice and she's fake, guys. What the fuck? Like, I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm crying now. I'm like, don't let them hurt you. Don't let them hurt you. It's just words, thick skin, like rubber and glue. That's like all I think about.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah. So
going back to that audition,
yes,
with Jeff.
So
Mr. Goldblum.
Mr. Goldblum.
So he's amazing. So we do the scene, and I don't even feel like Spielberg gave me anything like great or awesome, or like, it was just kind of one of those things where like, all right. And then he was like, okay, so Jeff, and like Jeff has worked with him before. But everyone's acting like this shit is just like A-okay, super normal. And he's like, okay, Jeff, so right now what I want is I want you to pretend you're a raptor and chase Vanessa around the room. And like, I had been prepared for everything acting based, scene, delivery, blah, emotions.
Yeah.
Not that at all. Like, I was like, wait, what? Fucking Jeff didn't skip a beat. Like, he crouched down, arms up, like claws in position, and that like actually fucking terrified me. I was like, oh God, you know. And he just starts creeping around. I was like, oh, I don't. And that was, I'm so grateful for Jeff for like just jumping right in and saying yes, because I didn't have a moment to doubt and be like, this is weird.
Wow.
Like, I didn't have time because the scene had already started with
Just
Jeff.
Go react.
And it's so funny because like, I've always had a pretty like deep voice for a girl, and my voice was deep when I was little too.
Okay.
Like, so they wanted these like girly ass screams, and I was like, it ain't me, y'all. Like, no, seriously. I'm pretty sure every single scream is dubbed because it's not me. Like a little princess,
Really?
I had to scream, and I had this high pitch ass voice. But you're bad. You shouldn't have booked me in the middle of going through puberty. Like, like literally, I remember like it was this like guttural ass like weird scream, and everyone was kind of like, "Oh, she has flaws." Like,
She can't scream.
yeah, like,
Get it.
oh, so she isn't perfect. Is what the whole set said. No, I'm just kidding. Like, but yeah, so like he's jumping on chairs, and I'm like pushing chairs and trying to look scared, and I'm actually a little like slightly like low lightweight scared.
Yeah.
And we just did that, and then everyone was like back to being humans, and it was like normal again. Jeff like straightened up and was like, "Good day, sir," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And I left and did not hear anything for a month.
Wild.
So I was like, oh, okay, well, this shit didn't happen. Like, whatever, continue on with my life. And then I get a call, and they're like, you booked Jurassic Park 2.
Wild. What was that like?
It's crazy because I started crying because I was scared. I was like, everyone was like, what? Oh my gosh. Like I remember being it was like a lot to comprehend.
Yeah.
Like, wait, like, you know, I think a lot of times as creatives, and I've had this conversation with a lot of friends, is like, we're so used to and stuck on like, I'm going to be famous one day, or like, I'm going to get there. And a lot of us become really comfortable with the journey that we don't even remember that we're actually trying to arrive somewhere. And so at that point, whether or not I was conscious of the fact that I never wanted to be famous, like I just enjoyed doing it. Like it was so much fun. There was so much to be stimulated by, and it was a challenge, and I loved doing it. Fame was never something, I'm still not into it. Like I like my anonymity. And I remember like I grew up in like this housing complex, the Oakwood. You guys probably know it. Back in the day, I grew up at the Oakwood, and so all the like, you know, stage moms and teens were like, yay, and they like threw me this party, and like I remember being like really happy, but also like terrified. Like, and when I got back from the party, I just started crying.
What were you terrified of?
I didn't want to be famous. And I like remember telling my mom, I was like, I don't want to be famous. Like, I want to be able to like walk around and people not like stop me. Like, I want to be able to like play, and like I was afraid that like the life I knew and that level of normalcy, I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but in my mind I was afraid. And I think I was just afraid of the unknown, because once it happened, I wasn't like, I don't like this, guys, you know. But I think I was just afraid of like all the stories and what everyone was saying, like, this is Spielberg, like, do you understand? And I was like, what am I supposed to understand? Like, you know, and so that scared me, but I got over it. Like, it was fucking awesome. Like, I mean, like, it was awesome doesn't even begin to describe like it. So I got over that real quick.
I feel you. Real quick.
Yeah.
Did you ever doubt your ability in that? Because you came from two great movies, like Harriet the Spy and Little Princess, which were both phenomenal films.
Right.
And now you're put onto this stage. Was part of the fear ever like your ability, or did you step onto the stage confident and be like, yo, I'm going to kill this?
It's funny because I feel like I actually think about my ability more now as an adult than I did as a child. I don't feel like, I don't know.
That's good. So I
don't know. Like, I don't think I ever really was concerned with whether or not I was good. I think like
awesome.
I thought, well, if I'm booking, then I must be. And I just kind of accepted that. But I don't know. Like, I think once you get older, and because a lot of child actors, like, you could just be cute and personable. Like, you don't have to necessarily be talented. Like, there are like the Dakota Fannings out there who you're just like,
what the fuck?
What? Like, you're just a robot. Because why and how? Like, and I don't think I was at that level. I think I was good. And I think I was like, I feel like what really worked for me was like, I was just a genuine child. So you could like see that it was authentic. And I did have classes, and I did have a large emotional wealth that was like going on. So that definitely helped me. Like, I feel like I'm a very empathetic person, and I've always been. And acting is just basically finding that portion of you that isn't, because like, okay, how do I put this? Like, there's a little Anoush in me. There's a little Joe in me. It's not my primary personality. You know Vanessa. But if I'm given a part where I'm portraying Joe's perspective on life, you find that part of you that resonates with them. And then you just let it illuminate.
Absolutely.
And that's something.
But you also have to study that part, right? Like, that's when you say, like, when you spoke about, you know, being prepared for everything else outside of just that natural scared emotion.
Exactly.
And being able to act it, like,
the improv.
But let's not forget, like, you know, you were a child actress, but at the same time, to be able to be in those rooms, command those rooms, and also have a point where you're hitting on these bookings, you have to practice your ass off and study and learn. It's not, you're not just going in there and just being like, well, we're here for the audition.
Absolutely. I was very...
Like, it clicked for me when you said that, because it's like, you tend to forget that, right? Because every actor has that path, especially in their later years, where they're like, look, because you have to decide, even, especially when you're older, like, if you're going to go through that creative path, you're going to have to decide within you, because you yourself will be the only one that'll have to look back when you're 40 and be like, we either did it or we didn't.
Right. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I have friends who will be like, so, like back in my hometown, like a lot of people thought I was like pretty and like I did it like a play. I think I'm going to like act. And it's just so interesting because like anyone can do it. Yeah. I know a lot of people who are actors, but they're not doing shit. Yeah. They just like to tell people they're actors.
Exactly.
Like, this shit is not for the faint of heart.
It's not a game
It's not for the faint of heart. I have friends who are not actors who go on 2 job interviews and don't get it, and they're devastated. I'm like, yo, I got rejected from 2 auditions today. Like, and this is a bomb-ass day. Like, what are you, like, you get to a point where you're just like, it's not, you have to have thick ass skin. And like, I like it when I'm busy because you don't have time to sit down and mull over like the pilot that didn't get picked up or like the callback that you didn't get. And like, you're just busy.
You have to explore the shit out of your craft. Like, this is a craft. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ability that you were talking about, like, it comes with not only the training and just like the study of acting, but like, to be able to go within somebody and find the Nushi in you or the little Raushi in you and maybe have to play that one day and like make that little bitty of Raushi that's in you blossom to where you're literally trying to show them and the embodiment of them. Right. It's a huge responsibility to the character.
Absolutely. And that's one thing, responsibility, you nailed it. Because I got to a point as an adult actress where I started realizing that the stories and the characters that I was telling these stories through or whatever, like, there is someone out there living that truth. They might not have anyone else to talk to or think that whether their situation's great, bad, in between, whatever, like, their stories need to be told. And I feel like that's the actual, like, honor, is giving a voice to some of these stories that we're not hearing about. Like, I did a pilot a couple of years ago for NBC called Reconstruction that was based on the Reconstruction period after slavery was abolished. Wow. And I got a call from this director that I had worked on another show with, and he was like, look, like, I'm working on this pilot, and I told my writing partner about you, and I told him that I worked with you on this Fox show, and I want you to play, like, the newly free slave. And I was like, whoa, like, you're just gonna give it, like, what? And he's like, you just need to go, like, meet with my writing partner. So I, like, met with the writing partner, and it was crazy because they didn't actually have sides for me yet, so they just had me read the sides of one of the other characters. But in the scene, it's, like, 1866, they're, like, around a fireplace, like, cooking and talking, and I'm, like, doing my scene in my room, like, reading it. And I was like, this shit feels weird. Like, this shit just does not feel right. And then, like, I'm reading it another day, and I'm, like, eating, like, hummus and, like, pita chips. And this shit just clicked. It's like the minute I had the actual tool or prop, it was just, like, rather than worrying about the lines, I was just doing the action, and it was just, like, flowing through me. So guess what the fuck I did? I brought akmak and fucking hummus to the audition and, like, sat there and, like, ate it in the middle of it. And they were like, what? Like, and then I get a call later, like, okay, you booked it. And they're like, look, she has no lines in the pilot, but she's the only black woman in this show. Like, and she's the only female slave we have in this show, or former slave. Her role is going to be huge. And, like, I was dating a white dude, so it was like scandal in the 1866. You know, it was like, oh shit, swirl back in Reconstruction days. Oh my god. Hashtag IR couples, whatever. So
Ebony and Ivory. Let's go.
Right? And so they towards the end of filming, they were like, hey, Vanessa, like, NBC wants to interview for the EPK, like, electronic press kit. And I'm like, what? like, I didn't even have lines. Okay. And like some of the other actors were like, she doesn't even have lines. And I was like, I know. So I was like, okay, this is.
She doesn't even have fucking lines.
I was like, okay.
What?
Like, but I remember me and the other girl were like, I was like, wait.
Yo.
But okay, cool.
She doesn't even have fucking lines.
Yeah,
though,
I was
right?
like, all right, sure, okay. And it was crazy because I was totally caught off guard when I was being interviewed, and they were like, so, and I don't know, it depends on who you act, but some black actors don't like playing slaves. Hey, you play what you want.
Absolutely.
Live your truth. Do whatever you want to do.
Absolutely.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that I had an opinion on it until they asked me. And they were like, so how do you feel playing a slave? And I was like, what? And I really thought about it, and I literally started to cry in the interview. Really? And I did not expect that. And I go, because I you know when you actually like think about what you're saying and you like hear it and you're like, holy shit, I didn't even know I felt this way.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I think it's insane that I'm playing someone who wasn't even considered a human being. Mm-hmm. And I'm giving a voice to these people who literally broke their backs to lay the foundations of our country. And so I can be sitting here free talking to you guys about honoring their legacies. Yes, slavery was disgusting, and that's like the lightest term I could fucking use for it. Yeah. But the lives that these people lived, if I could bring any type of truth to that experience, I've done my job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, that's what I hope to continue doing in any role that I'm given, is like giving a voice to whether it's a large amount of people who identify with that perspective or one. Like this dude DM'd me the other day, and he was just like, I think you're awesome. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like I might not get back to you right away, but I'll get back to you, you know? And he was like, I just want to let you know that like, I loved A Little Princess growing up. Like, I grew up with Asperger's and I'm autistic, and I got made fun of all the fucking time when I was little. And I just remember watching A Little Princess and thinking, you know what? Becky was the outcast and she ended up winning in the end. And he's like, and I really feel like I've won in the end. And like, I was like, I'm like tearing up already. And I was like looking at the DMs and I was like, gonna short circuit my phone because I'm crying through this DM. Like, and I don't know. That's the shit that makes you like never want to stop doing it ever. Like ever. Like, Oscar's awesome, but like someone like that hitting me up and being like, dude, like you made me think that it was okay to be me and just keep on living my truth. I did my job.
Absolutely.
Fucking did my job.
You like, touched a person.
What? Like,
right?
If you can do that once in how many ever years you're on this earth, you're
real.
Golden, you know?
For real.
So
yeah, very special.
I'm very, that made me feel very, very, very good.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I've got some really fucking cool fans.
I
They're
bet,
like really, like, they're people that I like, after a while, like just become friends with them and like follow them. And like, I think I know them, but we're not even in the same state, but whatevs. Who cares?
No, that's amazing.
Friends in my head. Cool.
I want to talk about like the blossom, because it's crazy to like think about it timeline wise. Like, you book Jurassic Park 2, you're like in the stages of, you know, middle school, gonna be going into high school.
Yeah, I was literally like
right?
8th or 9th grade.
And like, how I want to go into how that experience was filming that, and like just like in terms of, because like that's the pinnacle of like your child acting career right there, right? Like, it's everything that like this young little 3-year-old who went to terrific talent, you know what I'm saying, who had a mom who
Little Vanessa set me up. She knew what was up. I'm like, thank God she knew what was going on.
The beauty of what your mom did was, she, like, the way I see it is, your mom was like, my daughter has this type of energy. Let me put her in that environment. Like, she knew the environment to put you in.
It's crazy that you say this. My mom had, and you know, parents always have like these little calendars where they like write like, what the hell my newborn's doing for the first like 7 years of their life or whatever. It's not a newborn anymore, but whatever. And I remember looking through it, and it was like, so my birthday's July 2nd, and it was like July 9th or like somewhere in the 2 weeks after I'd been born, but it was a Sunday. And my mom wrote in the Sunday portion of the calendar, Vanessa met the pastor and his wife today, and they said that they think she's going to be a star. And I was like, she's like, isn't that weird? And I was just like,
yo,
wait, what? Were they right? I think they were right, kind
Yeah.
of. Can I be a star?
For sure.
Okay, I'm a star.
You damn
I'm a
right.
fucking star. No, just kidding. Oh my god, Mama, I made it. I made it. I'm a star. Hair flip. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, no. My mom was like, I remember there was a point where I became a teenager, and like a lot of parents, I don't know if they manage their kids because they think they know what's best. I think some of them are also like, hey, like, I'm going to be weighing in anyway. Let me get that 10%, you know?
Yeah.
And I told my mom she could never be my manager. And I think she was insulted at first. But
when did you have this conversation?
Somewhere in my teens. I want to say like 14, 15, something like that.
Was she on your management as a kid?
No, my mom has never managed me.
Oh, wow.
Ever. She's always been there. She's always been there for me to consult, but she's never managed me. And I told her, because I had seen a lot of friends who were resentful or bitter towards their parents because of this business that maybe as they got older, they realized that they didn't even want to be a part of, but it's like cause a rift in their family. Like a lot of...
And family is sacred.
Oh, all day. And so I told my mom, I was like, look, I'm so close to my mom and so close to my little brother. I was like, I don't want there ever to be a moment where you're conflicted, where you have to do what's best for you as a manager.
Yeah.
Or do you be my mom? Like, I always want my mom here. Like,
Absolutely.
You can always fucking give me business sense, but like, I want my mom by my side. Like, I will, I will give you 10%.
Yeah.
Like, you could just be like the best damn advice giver, ever.
This is not manager, we made it.
Yeah, no. Momager, we made it.
Yeah,
Nah, I'm good. Like, so that was definitely a huge thing. Like, the separation of church and state definitely helped.
for
So
sure.
important. I mean, you hear about that all the time because it becomes you become the parents' business.
Yeah.
Right.
When you become like their source of income and they're like number one, like their future, and hey, when the fucking mortgage is riding on your career, like you just can't mingle that.
Yeah,
But
and I
hear
know
about that.
kids who got to a point where their parents would let them know, like, we've got to pay rent. Like, you need to, and like, you don't fucking tell a kid that.
No, that's insane.
You need to book something,
Wait,
son.
there's a law now that like.
Oh no, the law is the Coogan law.
Yeah, what is that?
So basically, what happened is, I don't know what the kid's name is, but I'm assuming his last name was Coogan. He was a child actor that was on some super fucking famous show and made millions, and his parents spent every dime of it.
Wow.
Every dime, to the point that when he was an adult, he had no money, and he had been working his whole entire life.
Oh,
so
shit.
they started the Coogan law, which, thank God, is basically, like, let's say in terms of $1, every 35% or 33 has to go away into a trust fund for the kids that the parents cannot touch at all, and it cannot be touched until the kid is 18. Wow. To save kids from that.
Yeah,
because
protect it,
I know people who were like, I'm like, yo, like, you're not doing shit. Why the fuck do you have like a Mercedes and this and that? And my mom was like we drove around a bucket. Like, we had a bucket, and I was like in Jurassic Park too. My mom was like, but it's not my money. Like,
yeah, wow.
Yeah, like,
Take us. I want to know your relationship with your mom as a kid up until that point, right? Because like, I feel like that has so much to do with you, and you've spoken on it. Like, let's take a little like mama time.
Oh,
you know
God,
what I'm saying?
this is gonna be like, can someone get the Kleenex?
No,
I'm
don't
just
worry.
kidding.
No, don't worry. I'm already ready for the short circuit of the.
We put the plastic
We
over
need
the mixer.
sandbags. We need sandbags.
No, I dare you. I want to see those tears fly off, and I literally
But I
will
spent so
bless
much time
this mixer.
contouring my face. Wait, what? No.
No, because like it's like for somebody to be able to be as grounded as you are, and also
all a
look
front.
back I feel you, but it's a damn good one. You're a great method actress.
So great. So great.
You feel me? No, but like to be able to even look back then and be grounded to that point when you think about it, right? And also speaking on how strong of a figure your mother was, and in those instances, which she truly was, like, take us through that relationship of like mom raising her little star and you're shining brighter as you grow and develop, and like how that mother-daughter relationship was for y'all, and like what it really meant for you. You know what I'm saying? It's actually gonna progress, but in this moment of like 0 to 14, which we're at 12, 14, whatever the fuck it is. But like, take us there. Like, I want to know about your relationship with your mother and how that kind of formed you growing up. Like, single mom, paralegal, right? She's working. Like, how was that?
I mean, wow. I don't know if I've ever even really thought of it in terms of the way you just presented that question. But I mean, I guess if I could sum it up, and I will also talk about like the younger years, but like I feel like, you know, like, you know, when you play a video game and you'd hit like the safe spot.
Yeah.
And like if shit went wrong, you could always start right. Like my mom is my safe spot. Like she's like my checkpoint. Like I know that things are always good. And I feel like I understood at a young age, she's like my bulldog. Like she was always there to protect me. Like she's sacrificed she fucking, like, who moves across the country because your 6-year-old might be good at commercials? You know what I mean? Like who does that? Like, that's like the first sacrifice, like, that she's ever made. This is one of the questions that I would like, I'm going to go back home and be like, Jesus, I could have answered this so much better, but it's just like so overwhelming. She's just the epitome of like strength and support and compassion. And considering, like, my brother and I went back to Guyana a couple years ago, and I'd been there before, but just traveling as an adult, always different. See the backyard that my mom was born in, like chilling in the backyard where like the chickens are, like the highest building is like 5 stories where they're from, like just to see what my mom has done and then what she's done for Kevin and I don't even know. Give me some specific questions. Like I don't even know where to
be honest, like I don't even want to ask specific questions like that. Like it's the feeling, right? Like it's yeah, like to be honest, like I think it's beautiful that way, because it's like that feeling of mother-daughter. It's not like, so in this age, how was your mother like that? To hear that your mother was that rock, you know what I'm saying? It's like time and time again, you know what I mean? Like that is what that essence is. You feel me?
It's funny because I knew that you guys were doing this podcast. So Joe hits me up like, hey, like, so I was wondering, like, would you be interested? And I was like, God, I thought you'd never fucking ask. Like, I literally was like, God, like, it took you long enough, shit. And then I was like, but did I make it? And he was like, is your mom proud of you? And I was like, I could just smear shit on the floor and she'd be like, she's amazing. It's abstract art. Like, and I was like, wow. And now sitting here, I don't think I realized until now, most of the motivation for why I do anything is to make my mom proud. Like, I know she's proud of me regardless.
I feel you. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so humbling, because here's the thing with family. I ask people, like, if you were to meet your family members on the street, would you like them? Because most of the time you like just kind of have to like them. Like, wow. You know what I mean? If I met my mom and brother on the street, I would be like, yo. Like, I remember when I was younger, I always used to be like, I wish we could have been like teenagers together. Like, I don't think a lot of people say that about their moms. Like, she's just, like, I tell people, I'm like, when you meet my mom, everything about me will make sense. Yeah. Everything. She's a fucking light. That's the only way to describe her. And she's resilient and she's strong, and everything will go to her. Everything goes to her. Like, every bit of glory, and God, but you know what I mean?
For real.
People on the earth, all to mom. Like, she's everything. My dad is a fantastic human being as well. It's just, I didn't grow up with him, you know, but he's always been supportive and all of that. But my mom was the primary person. Like, I saw her not have money to, like, get us Christmas gifts or little things. Like, she was adamant, like, I'm not you know, I'm a single mom. I'm not raising like a young black man and a black woman in a bad neighborhood. I want you guys to have the best fucking education, like all the time. Like I feel like my mom is that mom who went without to make sure that we had.
Absolutely.
You know, always.
And it's crazy, like as kids, like how we can see that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, you know, I grew up in a very similar scenario. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's wild when you think about it, but as kids, you know, we always have disagreements with our parents, this, that, and the other. There's always that like parent-child thing.
Right.
I feel like I was very fortunate to be able to have parents that allowed me to make mistakes on my own, which in your case and in your world, it definitely had to be that way as well.
Yeah.
But like even growing up, you know, with parents that really care, it's like you could just see that as a child. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes just seeing what they go through is enough to be able to like really understand the magnitude of like that parent relationship.
Yeah, and also like I went to school with so many rich kids, like so many rich kids. And it's so funny because my mom would always joke, like, our apartment could like fit in like their living room, you know, but everyone wanted to be at our fucking house. And she was like, and I remember like when I started to like be aware of like socioeconomic statuses, like I would go to a friend's house and be like, holy shit, like, wait, intercoms just to talk to your mom because the shit's that big? Like, my mom snaps and I'm like, what did you need? Like, straight up. You know how foreign parents are. They're on the phone and they don't want people to know that they need some shit from their kids. So she snaps and me and Kevin are like, what do you need? What? A refill on the drink? Okay, whatever, you know? And I think it's because, like, my mom was present, not only just physically, but she took a vested interest in who I was as a human being, and I knew that. Like, she cared. Like, she wanted to, like, what makes you happy? Like, what happened at school? Like, she was the kind of person that if I got sent to detention, she'd be like, what happened, Vanessa? And I would tell her, and she'd be like, my daughter doesn't lie to me, because I told her if she lies to me and I ever found out that she lies, she'd be in way more trouble. So I know she's telling the truth. And I'd be like, and I remember once, like, I came home, this is so off topic, but it's hilarious, because I'm thinking about all this shit. She's so fucking crazy. Like, she was just foreign and was like, I don't know what you're supposed to do as an American. This is the way I'm gonna run shit. Like, I remember once, like, I was just like, yeah, like, they're weird about bathroom breaks. And she was like, oh, hell no. And I was like, what? She was like, if you ever have to go to the bathroom and they tell you you can't go to the bathroom, what kind of shit is this? Not letting my child go.
My mom told me the same
She was like, I don't care if you get detention, you walk out, having them ruin my child's bladder. Like, crazy as fuck. Crazy as fuck, right?
Yo, that in elementary school, it was that, and it was, if anybody touches you, hit them
all day
100 times harder.
All day. Oh, yeah. Well, I never had to worry about fighting. My mom was like, kill him with words, which was my kind. Like, that was the way. I was skinny. I wasn't going to win any
I don't think she'd tell her daughter, like, yo, square up. Let's go.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, though, because your mom is on this journey with you, and it's such a different journey. You know,
you
even
better preach, Joe.
You dig the silk.
You know, because in my mind, like, so many of the kids, including myself, that I grew up around, it was pretty conventional in terms of, like, you know, you go to school, you play sports, you go to high school, college, Yeah. You know, your mom is such on an interesting journey with you, and I'm sure for her, she probably somewhere had to have the conversation with herself, like, how do I navigate these waters with my daughter? Because this is a very different lifestyle that we're getting into. And,
absolutely.
And to step into that, you can't just kind of like nonchalantly go like, okay, yeah, let's just keep going on auditions and keep having this happen. There comes a time where, like, you're on big enough stages where, I mean, real money is being made. Right. Real opportunities are being there. You're being affected. You're going to be treated differently.
Right.
People are going to, you know, you may not have the same social upbringing as your friends. You may be left out of some certain things.
Absolutely.
All these decisions that
I miss sex ed. I'm still pissed about that. The 2 whole days that they give you in America, but I miss those 2 days.
I feel you. Oh, and those were a glorious 2 days.
Yeah. I'm like, damn it.
But it's you as a kid, you're not as aware, right? You're just kind of going through these.
I know that I like doing something and all the adults are happy about it.
Right. This is fun. Let me get my Happy Meal toy. Let me get my Barbie.
Right.
I got my dope ass collection now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm rocking. But your mom, somewhere along this line, while you're being a kid, she's guiding this ship, and she probably had to do that very carefully.
Yeah, I think, to try and think of what maybe my mom's psyche, like a perspective was at that time, was she's seeing, some child actors losing their shit, talking to their parents crazy.
Well, it could be a very dangerous world, as you know.
Starting with the drugs and this and that. And I don't know whether or not she was conscious of it or not, but maybe that's why she had me in school. And it was always like I graduated with a 4.1, and I was in AP classes.
Ooh, tell 'em.
All that and brains too. Like, hey.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
It always comes back to Bill. Like, I need a What Would Bill Do shirt. What? Yes. Someone's going to make that shit and send it to me. Send it to me.
What would Bill do?
So I think that she maybe even she just wasn't even conscious of it, that she was like, I got to keep this girl grounded in some way. Mm-hmm. And so her ideals, like chores at home.
She's got to keep herself grounded,
absolutely. Because, dude, I saw a lot of parents who you'd be like, wait, were you on Jay Leno last night?
Well,
because you're doing 5 months. So
I mean,
much.
a lot of times you see that parents are like living their dream through their kid, and pushing their kid like it's themselves.
Absolutely.
And there's those weird lines that blur. You just see it.
My mom was not that living vicariously through my through my child type at all. And I am very lucky that I was given that mom, because I could have come out very, very differently.
And also her as a protector too, to think about you're getting into one of the most shady fucking industries. You're coming to LA where fucking Hollywood.
Right.
The music industry, the acting industry, the entertainment industry is full of thieves, people that are
energy
fucking
vampires, people just killing dreams left, right, and center.
And also to be a woman and for your mom to be a woman and have a girl child actor with all the creeps and all the weird.
She had a conversation with me about that too. I had to grow up fast, and that was one thing my mom, and I think that's also foreign and Caribbean parents, they speak to their children like they're adults. Yeah. So my mom never treated me like I was some fragile little kid that couldn't do shit, she spoke to me like an equal. And I think that's also why I was able to be in adult situations. Jurassic Park, the only kid besides me was Vince Vaughn, and he was 24, so I mean, she was like, okay, I got to make sure my kid is normal. It's funny because I don't know if it's probably tradition. Most people give the director and the producers a gift at the end of the project. And so what the hell do you give Steven Spielberg?
For real.
What do you give him? What do you give him? And so I remember being in Rite Aid or whatever, Save On. It used to be called Save On. And they had a paint by number and the comic section. And it was this huge, I don't know, 2x1 paint by number of a Jurassic scene. And I was like, I want that. And I started painting it. And so every time I was off the set, I would sit down on my chair and I would just be painting it, and everyone would be like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, she's so cute, she's a little kid just painting and being the 12-year-old. How I'm yay, because a lot of them were just oh my god, she's really a child, she's not a robot, this is so cool. And a lot of them were away from their families, so I remember to skip away from this story for a second. We celebrated Halloween while we were filming, and I was like, I fucking love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. And I was like, wait, I'm filming? I'm not going to be able to do Halloween. So I was like, fuck this. And like went to the wardrobe people and like went through their shit and like found a bunch of silver clothing and like got silver boots and like decided to be an astronaut. So I was just like walking around set on Halloween as an astronaut.
I love that.
And everyone was so happy because they were like, we can't be with our kids tonight. Like, so that's so awesome that like, because there's so many kids that are so professional that you're like, I was professional when I was working, but I was a child, you know? And so they were always just like, I remember I would like sit in the trailer and like, I remember telling Vince like how I went back to school, like when I wasn't filming and like my friend Michael was like cheating, like was like making fun of me and picking on me. And he was like, his name was Michael Galeota. And he was like, you know, Vince was trying to be funny, and he was like, so do we need to go and settle shit with Mr. Gagliota? Like, he was like, do I need to go and like, you know, like, tell him? He's like, maybe we don't fuck with him because, you know, the Gagliota thing. And it's just like, just great. Like, and like, I just remember like, I was awkward as hell. And he was like, and like, I had the biggest crush on Vince Vaughn, like the biggest crush. Like, I remember, like, IMDb'ing his age, like, when we filmed, and I was like, yo, if I had been 21, I would have been like, so, how single are you? But I was 12, so.
Right.
But I remember he was like, you know what, Vanessa? Like, I'm going to be real with you. Like, they're just being mean to you because they know you're going to be a knockout when you're older, and they're not going to have a chance. And I was like.
That's lit.
And I was like, wait. The hottest guy I know just said that he thinks I'm going to be pretty when I'm older. And I was like, I'm good for the rest of my life. Like,
you feel me?
I was like, I'm good. Yay. You
That's
know, like,
incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What was it like, now that we're there, what was it like with like working on this film and with the cast? Being the only kid too.
It was insane. Every single like person that I worked with was a fucking legend. Like, so let's see, Steven Spielberg, duh. Like, do I even need to go into that? Okay, fine, great. Then there was like, okay, obviously, if you know his name, you know what's up. So then there was Stan Winston, and Stan Winston did all the CGI. Like, he did like Predator, Alien, Terminator, all that. And he was amazing. So he decided as like a gift, I mean, I think that they just were like, yay, let's make this cute kid happy. He invited my entire 8th grade class to his studio, like the Stan Winston studio. And we had a special field trip where everyone in my class got to go to his studio and see how like the dinosaurs were made.
That's
like,
awesome.
And like, I mean, like,
awesome.
if you were like a nerd before, popularity, like,
you went up,
ratcheted all the way up, you know, like.
You were literally president of your class, just
yeah. They were like, you can be the principal of the damn school, like, you're good, you know? And like, I remember I had like a project that was due where like I had to make some like scene of something. The art people were like, how can we help? When I tell you, this shit could have been in a museum. It was so legit. Like, they were like, let's add paper mache. And like, no, like the mountain doesn't. And I was like, you guys realize I'm not doing any of this project, right? Like I was going to pass before, but now they're going to skip me 6th grade. It's like,
they're going to put me in an art school.
Yeah. Like I am not ready for this. Jeff Goldblum was the sweetest, most caring man of all time. Like, he just wanted to make sure I was comfortable and that I felt comfortable with him playing my dad. And I remember he contacted my agent who let my mom know prior to shooting that he wanted to just come hang out with my family one day.
Wow.
Just to know who I was. And like, he spent a day with me and my family.
That's amazing.
Which is like, what?
That's epic.
Like, that's above and beyond the professional duties. Like, that's caring about human beings, you know?
Absolutely.
Julianne Moore, I mean, wait. Like, but I'm sure since we started this podcast, she's probably won like 5 more fucking Oscars because she's just amazing.
For real.
And she was like a pseudo mom on set. I was underage, so my mom was always there. But, you know, if she was like making sure Kevin was all right or whatever, like in between scenes, she'd be like, are you all right? Do you need anything? You guys, Vanessa was like running a lot. Just like let her sit or whatever, or like let her chill, you know? And then there was Vince. And like Vince was like my fucking favorite. Like that was like I just static cling to him. And like, I remember they all had these golf carts to get around the set, but they had like Mercedes-Benz golf carts. Like, and I was like, wait, this is fucked up. Like, I can't. And Vince would be like, just drive my golf cart. And I was like, yes.
Epic.
Like, and then I remember once, and he did this on purpose. Like, we like got back from lunch and he was like, so how was your lunch? And I was like, oh, like, I mean, I ate in my trailer. Ooh, you know, like, and he was like, oh. Well, I was just like playing like all the new video games on set, like stage 23. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, oh, that's weird. They didn't like tell the kid about like the soundstage that's just filled with arcade games. And I was like, Vince, what the fuck? You know, like, you know, like that's just rude. And so then from then on, like Vince and I would go to like stage 23 whenever we could and just play video games.
That's
like,
epic.
And he'd be like, you can't even, he's like, okay, great. The 12-year-old can't drive and she's doing better than me in the racing game. This is ridiculous. Like, and then like Pete Postlethwaite, like, I mean, rest in peace. Fantastic, legendary actor, just like surrounded by insanity. Like there's a scene where we're like running and like the raptors are like, everyone would be like everyone thought that this was the most clever question when we did the 3 day. If you could be one dinosaur, who would you be? And I'm like, oh God. Obviously, always the raptors. They're sick as fuck. They're slick. They run in a pack. They're dope. They're smart. If any dinosaur was gonna get like higher intelligence, it's the raptors.
Yeah,
like
100%.
They fucking opened a door.
And
Hello. They opened a door.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where we're running through really tall like grass, and the grass is like 6-7 feet high.
Oh,
and
shit.
I'm like maybe 5 feet. I'm like 5'3" now, so I was probably like 4'11", like something like that. So Jeff is supposed to be running. We're like running for our lives from these raptors, and I'm supposed to be holding his hand. And like when I tell you this dude was taking strides that were at least 2 to 3
He was fucking galloping
feet in. Like I was just like moving my feet and just hoping he would drag me along.
Yeah.
And there was literally one take where like our hands like just I couldn't keep up, and they just like lost me in the grass. They're like, where's Vanessa? And I'm like jumping like, I'm over here. Like so we can do the next scene, because like I got fucking lost in the tall grass. Like it was crazy. Like
that's so wild.
And just like little things. Like I remember being super excited because I had always seen like green screens, and I just was like, am I gonna get to work with a green screen? Like, and then I remember the day that I like walked onto the sound stage, and there's just like this low light green as you walk in, like just like kind of illuminating.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's a word, throughout everything. And then you get closer, and I was just like,
whoa,
I've made it. There's the green screen.
Mama!
Like I literally was like, I probably looked back like, Mama, like it's green and fucking huge. Like I'm so excited. And so like that was one scene where like they had to do where like we were like above the jungle, and it was crazy because we're sitting in this like, have you guys seen the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the part where like we're in the high, like above the jungle,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
radioing to like right when everything starts to hit the fan.
Mm-hmm.
So that was green screen, and that time, Spielberg's, I think his oldest son Max, it was his bar mitzvah, and so Spielberg was in New York for the bar mitzvah, and he was video conferencing in like to direct us. So
Wild.
we would So like we would do the scene in the hide, and then like I'd like come down, they'd like unstrap me, and then I'd like walk around to like the monitor, and he's like sitting in an office in New York, and he's like, all right, Vanessa, that's great, blah, 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 blah. And then like, I'm like, he's sitting here, and his like little girl is standing next to me. And she's just standing next to him, like just looking at me, just smiling. This is Sasha. Smiling. She's like super excited. And then she just turns to him after he like gives me like his directions. And she's like whispers in his ear. And he turns to me, and he's like, and we loved you in A Little Princess. And I was like, and everyone started dying because like his little girl was like, Dad, don't forget to tell her that. You know?
I love that.
Very
like,
important.
don't forget to tell her that.
I love that.
It was just, I don't have like a bad, I guess the worst parts was when it was over. Like,
I feel you.
You know what I mean? Like there was nothing bad. Nothing.
That's like a movie in and of itself.
Yo,
You know
that
what
was
I'm
like a
saying?
life, that was like a year commitment, because it was like at least like 5 months of filming and then post. And then there was like a couple of reshoots. And I remember everyone was like, holy shit, because they tried to have me wear like the same wardrobe that I had from like 6 months before. But
and you were growing.
I was like, it was high water shit. Like they were like I remember Spielberg being like, oh my gosh, like that shit's like in the middle of your calves now. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I'm 11, so that happens, you know, like, and then it was, you know, I had done press junkets before, but it was like one day of press junkets. And what I had found out was, so the month in between me reading with Jeff Goldblum and then actually finding out whether or not I had booked it, the press department had to go through my old interviews and find out whether or not they thought I would be able to handle myself as the only child on Jurassic Park 2 among all of these actors. Like, would I be able to handle myself with the media? Would I be able to represent the film?
Oh, wow.
And I guess they thought I was like articulate enough and could express myself. And so they were like, okay, cool. Like, she can act. She's like not a psycho, and she can actually like interview, you know?
Though.
Yeah. And when I found that, I was like, damn, this is a real life production, you know?
Yeah.
And
they did the CIA background check on you.
I'm saying, like, and it was 3 days of interviews. I've never done anything like that. Like, people flying in from like I would just go sit and they'd be like, this table's from China. And I was like,
hey.
I'm 12. Like, wait, where is that again on the map? Like, I really love Carmen Sandiego, but tell me again. And then it was like international. Like, they sent, I don't remember where they sent everyone else, but they sent me to South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Which was amazing. And I was able to meet President Mandela while I was there. Yeah, like I have a photo of me with President.
You got a photo with Pac and Mandela. Like,
yeah, I just got to get Barack. And I'm like, I got the hat trick of all time. Like, and Chance.
Super real.
Like, I'm like, Chance the Rapper, another political figure that I need to meet.
Straight up.
But yeah, so like I got to meet Mandela, and that was amazing. Like, I mean, I got to go to Africa, like, and meet President Mandela. Like, I don't even know what to say about my own
like
experience.
A moment of silence for
right?
That, you know what I'm
like,
saying?
And yeah, he signed his autobiography for me, and it's like, it's just. I'm sitting here like, wait, this shit really happened?
Yeah, for real.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
For real.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment to digest that, though. That's trill.
Yeah.
Like, that's really trill.
It's amazing. It's I mean, this is such just doing this podcast is such an amazing experience, because I feel like even though like a lot of people might not like know my story or someone else's story, it's crazy to have to sit down and think about your own story. Like sometimes you just like are like, oh, I made it, or like I'm here, or like shit happened to me, and like one day I'll write about it.
The journey's been awesome.
Yeah, like it's just crazy to think like, whoa, like I definitely feel like I don't give myself enough credit. I have done some amazing things. Like I know people who have never been in an audition, and I'm sitting here talking about like Spielberg, you know, like so. I have a lot to be grateful for, and a lot of blessings that have come my way, and I'm like a third through my life, like, you know?
Imagine that. Like that's the beauty. Like for me, I love that because like, you know, it's providing a platform for people to be able to speak freely about it.
Yeah.
Right. Because even when we do it on our own, I feel like doing this more and more, it's made me kind of reflect back on my life.
Absolutely.
And like, the beauty of life itself, when you start to look at it, at least for me, it was like everything that has happened, good, bad, amazing, catastrophic, like I wouldn't take a single thing back.
Nope.
And that's not just because it's like, oh, everything, you know, made us this and that. It's like truly, if something in that whole lifetime happened differently, this wouldn't be here.
Exactly. Like every
like
single
the
mistake had to happen for me to
thing.
be here
You know
right now.
saying?
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So it's like outside of owning it from like everything happens, it's like it's truly everything that has happened, every decision that we've made, whether it's been to our benefit or not, like is the reason why we're here.
The no's are part of the reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like someone could have said yes to me and it could have been a project that might have prevented me from doing like The Lost World.
Right?
100%.
And at that time, I was like, damn, I missed that project up, but didn't know that there was a way larger opportunity and blessing coming my way.
Yeah.
You know, like, you just don't know.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to like look back at that, because it's like those things are so transformative, but like being where we are now, like we're not looking back to when we're 12, 11, 15 like that. You know what I mean? And to be able to see, especially, you know, with somebody like yourself that's experienced these things so young and has continued to, right? And like I love that we're going to get into what this world becomes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people in general have such a misconception. Like when you were able to just have that moment within yourself and just be like, I don't want to be famous, whether that bode true moving forward or not. Like just the idea that people want that, like that in and of itself is stripping you of your freedoms as a person. Right. And that is only thinking about the identity that X talent creates.
And I feel like a lot of people, what they're using the wrong word. They don't want fame, they want attention. Yeah. They want people, they want validation. Absolutely. And they want to know that they're worthwhile and that they're purposeful. And if you're here for a fucking reason. Absolutely. That's the way that I believe it. So like you don't need people to co-sign on it. It's great to get a pat on the back, but like you have to get to a point where you're self-validated and you just know like this is my shit and I'm going to do it. Like I'm no apologies, no nothing. And like, it's taken a lot of time to get there as an adult, but like I got to a point where I was like, no, I'm like, you don't need to worry. Like you're going to be okay. You've never not been okay. Like you're good. Just keep on keeping on, stay authentic and true to yourself. It's always worked.
Absolutely.
You know, it's crazy, but like, I think it's amazing because like there are so many people who probably follow me on social media and just have like this idea of who I am or what my life's like, or like shit's been super easy. And like, I wouldn't say that I had the easiest life, but I wouldn't say I had the most difficult. It's all relative. Crisis.
You've had a life.
Yeah. Crisis is all relative. Like something to me might not be shit to you and vice versa.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I think I really hope that a lot of people listen to this, especially people who seem to be interested in whatever they think my life is, because if you are a fan of someone who's on this show, I can't think of any other vehicle that can humanize them more.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think a lot of this celebrity culture is that barrier between this person that you put on a pedestal and you idolize and you forget, like, no, they're a human that acts or like they're a human that does something in a specific industry in this society, which we happen to like just grovel and pay a lot for. You know what I mean?
And
like
that's their job. That's not them.
Like real shit, teachers should be getting paid what actors get paid. That's the way I fucking feel about it, but I'm crazy, you know, like, because they're really making sure that shit is going to be happening for the future. Some are assholes, but still the majority are. Like I had teachers who absolutely changed my life and like made me want to be more creative.
1 billion
like,
percent.
It's what you said. I think people want to feel important, and that gets caught up with fame or attention. It's this fantasy. No, it is. It's this fantasy, and we talk about it here a lot because you're chasing this thing that you've created in your mind. Like people come from all around the world to come to LA to become an actor, and like knowing the odds are against them, knowing like they're going to be a waiter. Like they choose this. They could definitely choose a lot of other professions.
It takes a lot of balls to like be like, hey, I'm gonna like be broke and try this, and it might never work.
Real balls,
though.
And
some people don't really understand what it takes, or even understand that like environment.
And that's to go back to like my friends who were like, hey, this seems like fun, or like you can make a lot of money. I'm like, this is not for the faint of heart. Like you better love this shit because like, are you willing to like not go out that night because you need to be off book for 20 pages tomorrow? Like, are you willing to forego your lunch hour at your job that pays your bills to make this audition and maybe be 15 minutes late and then get like your ass kicked by your boss? You know what I mean? Like, I remember doing that, like after college, like not having a lunch because I was like, I have a Sons of Anarchy audition. And it's like, well, fuck it, I'll eat later. Like, okay, great. I booked it. It was worth that risk. Like I was an econ major. I wasn't a theater major or anything at USC. I was an econ major. told you I was a nerd, and business minor. And like one of the big things is like with finances, big risks yield big rewards. Like, and if you don't have the fucking balls to sometimes like jump before you look, like you just got to have faith, like unwavering faith in yourself. And this is like the hardest industry to have unwavering faith in yourself. But you have
to be able to also see beyond the mirage, because it sounds a lot better than it is.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, because people don't see the rejection from the auditions. You're not Instagramming that. You're not like live, hey, live story, this fucking like casting director.
No of the week.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna live. Here's my story of this casting director laughing at my audition.
Or like, this is hour 16 of me on set, but I have a child that I have to go home and nurse after. I don't have a kid, but like there are women doing that shit, you know, like.
Or this is me working in this fucking job, you know, and getting 3 hours of sleep to go to this next audition just to pay bills. It's like,
I mean, there's been so many times where like I've like a couple of months ago, I was literally like waking up, going to set, filming, go home, would learn the lines for the next day of shooting, learn lines for an audition that I had to put on tape because I couldn't actually go to the audition because I was shooting. And it's like, you got to get to a point where you're just like,
wow,
like
that's TikTok.
Yeah. It's like every minute counts, because if I don't make it count, that might be less bread in my bank account and bread on my table. Like it's hard because there's no one, like, you know, I've got my agents and my managers who do make money off of me, but they've got other clients. No one's sitting there like
waiting for you.
And my mom always used to tell me, she was like, look, I think you're amazing, but don't think that there's not another little black girl out there who's just as talented, who's eager to work, who would be paid less and replace you. Like, and a lot of people don't get
just
that.
The sobering mom talk, though.
Yeah, she was like, you're like, damn, was she on your side though? Like,
no, but that's lit though.
Yeah, but she was like, look, you can't sit there and like, she's like, you've got to always be grateful for your opportunity, because someone is dying for you to fuck up so they can take your spot. Dying, hoping, like doing voodoo. Literally eating bananas.
Like the person that bumped into you took a piece of your hair.
Yeah, right. And you're like, ow, wait, what?
They took your Coke can just to have a little for the potion.
Do you want some Fun Dip? I'm kidding, it's crack. And you're like, no, all bad. Yeah, it's.
I want to take us up to the lead up of that, like when you're starting to see it as an adult and like really like have the balance of like the real world and that being your real world, right? But like, how was your high school and college time? Because during college you took a break.
Yeah, high school and college was interesting. I didn't actually want to go to college. I read this piece of literature in, I want to say, AP English. And I think it was by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it was called like The Scholar. And he was basically talking about the difference between someone who's smart and someone who's intelligent. And he was basically likening it to like people being drones. And he was like, smart people can hear information and just regurgitate it. Like, they don't have to understand the concept. They can repeat. They're people who know how to memorize shit. And then there's intelligent people. Like, you're given a concept and you can process it in your own mind and then interpret it and explain it in your own words. And then he likened it to people just going to college just because they were told that was the right thing to do. And that shit resonated with me. And I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to college. I'm over it. Like, I was like, Emerson knows what's up.
Yeah.
And then
shout out to us intelligent.
Yeah. And then like my grades were really dope and like everyone else was applying. And I was like, okay, so this is just like the thing to do, huh? Like, okay. And no one had been to university in my family. And so I was like, fuck it. I have a 4.1 and like I'm on yearbook and AP government. Like, I'm doing all the things to get into college. Why not just apply? So I was like, I'm applying to like 3 places. And if I don't get into, because I like found out that like, I didn't know you had to pay. I didn't know that you had to pay to apply to get fucking rejected. And I was like, I'm not going to make my mom spend like hundreds of dollars on fucking applications. So I was like, fuck this shit. Let me find out what a fee waiver is and this and that. And like I'm not trying to stress my mom out, you know? So I applied to UCLA, CSUN, and USC. I didn't know that everyone basically got into CSUN. So like me and my mom were like, oh my God, I got into college. like I remember like they basically told you like at the place that you got in. And my mom was like, my daughter got into college. And I was like, what? I'm smart enough. And everyone was like, crickets. Okay. Then UCLA rejected me, thank God. And I got into USC. And I was like, okay, like acting wasn't really like, it wasn't popping off at the time. It made sense. Like I was like, well, this seems like a nice transitory, I don't know what the fuck to do with my life type of thing. And it was one of the greatest decisions that I didn't expect to make. Like the people I met, the experiences I had, and I think what was really fantastic about it was I was exposed to a world of people who were very set on a specific path that they wanted to take, and they had committed to that path with 4 years in this school. So that started to interest me. Like, wait, so if my mom, because like you have to remember my mom put me in this. It's not like it was something that was actively my decision. But to that point, my mom also put my brother in it. And one day when he was like 7, he was like, I hate this shit. And she was like, cool, you're out. So like if I had ever said that, I would have been out, you know? And during college, I was just like exposed to a whole new world. Like it was like frat parties and this and like business meetings and like getting an internship and like things that I had never thought that I would do. And so I started to wonder like, wait, is acting still something that you want to do? Like, and I feel like a lot of creative people don't want to admit that they've had that thought of like, is this the right path for me? Am I supposed to do it? 'Cause like, I hear a lot of people like, if it's God's will, I'm like, I feel like you're like, I feel like you're kind of threatening God, like, kind of like you're gonna give me what I want, right? Like, nah, that ain't it, you know. And so I kind of got to this point where I was like, what if this isn't what I'm supposed to do? Like. What and like I wasn't sure, so I was like, let me keep my manager and agent because that shit's hard to come by. Like, just keep on auditioning, and like I didn't stop. I just wasn't as active.
Yeah. And you were okay with that.
Yeah. And I remember because I was having a blast in college. I was having so much fun. I was making amazing friends. Like I just was really enjoying the experience. Yeah. Football games, hello. I went during Matt Leinart and like Reggie Bush. Yeah. Like, come on, all day. Yeah. I didn't know shit about football freshman year.
But it was
Senior
electric.
year, I was like, what are we doing at tailgate? Like fucking insane. Like my friend does 30-second keg stands. Don't fuck with us. Like
yo, for real.
Crazy, you know, like I was all the way in it. Like talking shit, like my kids better go to USC. Oh my God, what? But senior year, studying for finals, and I'm like in Levy Library, and I get a call like, hey, Vanessa, so production called from 17 again. I had auditioned for some role, and they were like, you didn't get that role, but the director loved you and wanted to know if you would just take this other role. And it was like, it conflicted with like a final, something like that. Like, and I was like, okay. And I made the decision so fucking quickly. I was like, oh, duh, you still want to act. Like, I didn't even think about it. I was like, I don't give a shit if I fail this class. Right. Like, I was like, I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to I'm not getting my master's in anything. Like, in my mind, I was like,
it clicked.
Cut on school, you know? And then I just continued after. Like, I always kept on doing it, but I was kind of like toying with the idea that maybe there's another path or like another world that I haven't explored. And I think what I came to the conclusion is like, I don't have to choose one thing. Like, I don't have to choose one thing to do and only do that. Like, I am a multifaceted person with a lot of interests. Like, acting can be the vehicle for me to also do these other things. I don't have to pick one. But I think that was the time where I was like, oh, you didn't even skip a beat. There was no, let me call mom, let me weigh the pros and cons. It was like, cool, tell them I'll be there. Like, not even a game.
And this was out of just like years of just kind of tranquility in that field.
Yeah, just like kind of like, okay, like, this is great. I love doing it. It's always awesome to be on set, make some extra money, like whatever it may be. Like,
were you starting to think of careers at that point, or like what was that? Because senior year you got this call, right?
Yes, this was senior year where it was kind of like the end and it's finals, and it's like, okay, like what's more important, getting this A in this class or doing this job, you know? And that what I realized after college, because I've had these moments where I'm like, you know, you have these like slow periods where like you don't book. Like I had a year where I booked once, and I was like fucked in the head. And my manager and agent, my manager Bill, I have Bill and Darcy, and they're the best fucking people in the world. If you guys hear this, but you won't, but you guys are awesome. Bill was like, look, you're going through a dry period. And he goes, I hate to break it to you because you've never had one. This is fucking normal. Like, we're not going to drop you. We still think you're talented. It's just that you've never gone through a period where you weren't working all the time. And he's like, maybe you need this to like regroup. And like, that's exactly what I did. Was like, I needed to get my mentality back together. Like, I needed to focus. I needed to figure out what my foundation was. Like, what was I doing? Like, why did I still want to be an actor? What was the purpose? And that's where I started to realize it's like, I enjoy telling these people's stories. Yeah. I have a blast. Obviously, there's very like, you know, self-centered reasons for it. I
but
enjoy
you're a vessel.
That's exactly how I feel about it. Like I know most of the time when I've booked something, because I'll get out there and I'll like leave the audition and be like, I don't know what the fuck I just did in there. Because I'm so present, I don't even have time to think about acting and emotion and looking. Like I'm so invested and so present and grounded in the moment that it's like, like I'm sure that the way you feel like when you're on stage, you're not like, you know what you have to play and what you got to do, but like that shit's just flowing through you.
Yeah. You kind of rehearse up until that point, but then when it's go time, you're just kind of relying on just taking in the moment.
Exactly. You just have to be completely there with whatever it is you're trying to give to the audience.
And be present.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like when I'm into something and if I put enough effort into it, I can usually excel in it. And so I think because I was doing well in college and I saw this different side of myself that I wasn't aware existed, it started to make me wonder, like, and get curious, like, there might be another path for you. Like, you know, like you could be a child actor who just decided to go into like business or, and like my whole thing was like, I love this industry. So I was thinking like, okay, maybe I start looking into like financing, distribution and budgeting of films. Like I knew I always wanted to do something like in this industry. I can still do that. Like
Absolutely.
I can still do that, you know? And
Absolutely.
like I remember like being on set like sophomore year and I was like, cool, I love that we're like filming by my school. And the actor in the van was like, oh, you're in college? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, what are you studying? And I was like, oh, economics. And he literally laughed at me. He was like, why? And I didn't like that, like at all. I didn't like that shit at all. And I was like, and I have a fucking slick mouth. And I was like, honestly, the fact that you don't even understand the value in it means there's no point of me explaining it to you. Like, and the driver was like, damn. Like,
Yo, for real.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even going to try and make you understand. I'm just going to shut you the fuck down.
And he
like,
shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah. And he was like, whoa. And I was like, I just know that when the Federal Reserve, like, changes the interest rate, how that affects my checks and my taxes and my money and investing. And I was like, and that might not have shit to do with acting, but, like, everyone makes money, right?
Got him.
Bar.
Got him.
Got him.
Like, it was just like, no. Like, So, yeah.
Like you said, you can do both.
Absolutely.
And that's also another misconception I think a lot of people have. Even like as a musician, I've gone through that like crazy.
Right.
And I'm doing both.
Yeah.
But you don't, you know, it's another, I think, when people come to become actors or actresses, it's like, oh my God, this is my passion. This is what I have to do. It's like, that doesn't have to be like that. Just because something that you happen to be passionate about isn't the one thing that has to be the all-consuming thing. And if it doesn't, your life goes to hell. Like, it's just, that doesn't have to, you could do a multitude of different things.
And you also have to be flexible because you know, there are certain things that will open up other things.
I feel a noose right now with the ice cream. With
I'm just trying to figure out what flavor this is.
With the 2 hour and 15-minute ice cream break.
Wow.
Ice cream sandwich break. I feel you.
I literally wish I had more to like offer, and I was like,
no, you're just rude.
I'm so hungry for this. I'm gonna be the asshole that comes over here, and I'm just gonna take it.
You know what? I want you to have positive memories of this recording, and if you need that ice cream cookie, that I need you to keep on eating.
You know what? My memory was positive of this entire moment. The moment you walked into the crib, so we all good.
Ooh,
You were like,
you
she's
did.
nuts. I love it.
Shit, we good.
I just walked in like, it's all happening. It's all happening. Just announce myself like the child actor I am.
Oh my God, that felt so fucking wrong. I had to say that with fucking ice cream in my mouth.
You good?
But I I totally feel you though. Like you have to be flexible, and you should be flexible, and you should also allow yourself to dive into other things. And I think it helps with also the things you want to focus on. Like it opens space in your mind that relieves that pressure. If your mind was like acting, oh my God, I'm in college, I'm not getting, like, it's just that pressure and stress that you live on. Like, but you gave yourself the opportunity to go, I'm going to enjoy this experience. Probably also an experience that you never really dove into because as a kid, you acted so much.
Yeah.
So being in college, that whole social environment, your friends, this whole new thing. I think
and it's also the freedom. Like,
and the freedom.
And it's also college. Dog.
Right. And I went to we went to the most collegey college, like, of all time.
Went to the college.
Enjoy it,
But like that's the thing. It's like, it's such a human moment and thing, right? Like, yes, I completely get like look, I'm not gonna go to college because cats have like this ambition or that ambition, the other. But like, college is one of those experiences that you'll never get back. You know what I mean? And it's like one of the most transformative and fun.
It's amazing,
like, as a person.
The way you grow. Like when I tell people that my roommate sophomore year like dated Reggie Bush, and like he would come over and be like, "Yo V, can I like borrow your like Nextel charger?" And I'd be like, "Oh, like
right,
here's Reggie again borrowing my Nextel." Like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know.
No, but it's true, and also like some of the friends that you make that first year of college, or like. Some of my friends in college are like my fucking brothers. Like shout out to Ben, Pat. I see you guys.
No, I had someone tell me like, because I was like, I don't.
You said Ben and Pat. I see you. Like, shout out to Ben and Pat, dog. Shout out to you.
I see you, but it's true, and I think you need that when you're going through that phase of like freedom, and just to be like the first steps of an adult. You just that camaraderie and that freedom is such a healthy thing.
It's so amazing. My best friends are like, with the exception of like two people are my people that I met in college. And someone told me before I was going, they're like, because I was like, my best friends are from like elementary and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know why I sound like that in my younger years, but apparently I was like really immature and shallow. And now I'm like. They were like, you're going to meet your lifelong friends in college. And I was like, nah. And I'm like, damn, they were absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely right. Like, those are my people.
Yeah, and it's important. Now, when you're going through like, as acting as an adult, like post-college, all right, you took that audition and you knew like, all right, college was great, but econ, I see you. Yeah. But acting, like,
what up, interest rates?
Right, yeah. Federal shout out. Yeah.
Shout out to supply and demand.
But let's go home, right? Let's go to acting. What was it like stepping kind of? You never left technically, but now since you're,
it's a reintroduction.
It's a reintroduction.
Absolutely.
And it's a reintroduction. Correct me if I'm wrong. Being an adult.
No, that's exactly what it is. Absolutely what it is, because and that's what it is. A lot of times, like, there's little things like you could either be super cute when you're younger, and then you grow up and people are like, oh, I don't want to say you're ugly, but you're just not as cute as you were, which is saying
you're different.
Yeah, like, yeah, like basically, I didn't want to get one of those, or like some people aren't able to transition and deliver that caliber of depth to their characters as an adult. Like, I feel like when kids act, we're a little bit more forgiving, and then the ones that really stand out, we're like, Jesus, whoa, like they're amazing.
The gap is huge.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna transition because you're fantastic. Like Brie Larson, she's been acting since she was a kid. She went through a little stage where things weren't going well for her. She like guest DJ'd at parties to make money, and now she's like Miss Marvel and like won an Oscar. You know what I mean? And I think that was the hardest thing, is like getting people to take you as seriously as you're taking yourself in this process,
That's a wild concept.
You know what I mean? Because I know that I'm capable. I know what I want to do, and I feel like that I have the ability to do it. But can I convince you? And are you willing to drop your idea of what you already expect from me and not let that mar my performance,
And also...
Like the typecast of a child.
Yeah.
Edit. Edit.
I'm not making.
I hit
by
the
the way,
hiccup burp pop, and I was like, edit.
I'm not making a single edit in this.
I know. So Joe is the best.
No,
Cool.
this is literally the episode of the non-edit edits.
The non-editor's room.
But it's also like you're dealing with people going like, oh, the Jurassic Park girl, but you're also dealing with like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, yourself saying, you've reached a very high level of success already. So you've already tasted that, jumped in the pool,
It's a mind fuck.
You saw the fucking
and now,
green screen and all that.
Like most people as adult actors who haven't had that, they've been building up their whole lives for that.
Right.
You had it. Now, was that challenging?
I was scared. Because I don't think that there was any outside pressure from anyone else. Everyone else was like, we love you. Oh my God, signs. Woohoo, But for me, it's like, can I still do this? Is it going to still work?
Well, because your bar is fucking Spielberg.
That also, too. And I remember...
And also it's cutthroat when it's like, bro, like you're coming back in the game and you're being seen as who you were.
Yeah, and you're
it's
also,
not like,
true.
oh, who's
That's
this
true.
again?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
oh, you've done... Oh,
my
that
God,
commercial
you've grown
last
up.
year.
Yeah. Oh my God, you grew up. Oh my God, you were. I remember when you came in when you were 10, and I'm like, I don't remember you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
For real.
Yeah, there's already
like,
you're already walking in the door with so many unfair expectations.
So many things coming in with it,
Yeah.
like so many things. And I remember someone who was like a good friend of mine. Literally, and here comes Mama Karen. She's like, this is her episode, obviously. Like, he was like, oh my gosh, like, you're a has-been. And like,
What?
who says that to anyone?
fuck
Who
is that?
says that to
for,
anyone?
who says that?
That's just mean.
Fuck?
But for me, it was coming from someone that I didn't expect to say something, like spit that type of vitriol towards me. And I was just kind of like, and it like, it's funny how you can have a million positive things land on you, but the one negative thing can like permeate.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had never thought about that before. And like, I didn't say shit. I just kind of was like caught off guard. And then probably like a year later, I like mentioned it to my mom and I was like, you know what blah, blah, blah said? Like, he was like, oh, whatever, because you're a has-been. And she goes, well, I mean, he was a never was, so what the fuck was he talking about? Like, and I literally...
Mama! You feel me? God
No,
damn.
and I literally was like, damn, like...
Yeah,
That's
no.
some, like, okay.
Fuck him.
Spit
Bleep,
hot
bleep,
fire,
man.
Mom.
Yeah.
Like, spit hot...
Dylan.
Spitting hot fire.
Hot fire.
Hot fire. I was like, wow, damn. And she was like, Vanessa...
That motherfucker never made the band.
Yeah,
you
she
know
was
what
like,
I mean?
how can someone who's never actually tried at an industry that is not for the faint of heart fucking tell you you're a has-been? Like,
What? Who the
Yeah.
fuck is that?
yeah,
Like,
so...
like, fuck you.
But then it's like, you
Whoever
know what?
you
Like,
are.
sometimes, though, like, if once you can get past the fact that, like, someone has said some shitty, hurtful shit, like, some people, that shit
Like,
breaks
will
them.
break you. Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, oh, don't give me a reason to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing better than being underestimated and also knowing you're capable.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when I make it, you'll be fucking shocked, but
Yeah.
I won't. Because I knew what the fuck I was doing the whole time. Like,
don't hit me up with that. Yo, do you have extra
no
tickets?
new friends. No new friends. No,
Yeah.
no, none of that.
Respect.
Yeah, so I mean, it was definitely different. But then I decided, like, if I'm gonna do this, like, I got to get serious about it. Like, get back into classes. You know, this is my craft. I got to work on it, and just challenging myself, stepping out of my comfort zone. I have friends who are actors and haven't been in an acting class in like 6 years. Hey, I'm not doubting your talent.
Yeah.
But just from, like, for example, 10, 15 years ago, the rule was do not fucking break the fourth wall. Don't ever look in the camera. And then you get an audition like The Office where you have to look in the camera for awkward moments. Yeah. And you're like, wait, everything I've known is a lie. You know, like, you have to keep up with the technology and the style of, like, writing and perspective and producing and directing. Like, if you're stuck being like, look, talent, fine, that's not going to go away, but you have to be, like, this is a business. And I try and tell people that, like, I'm grateful for my time at USC, because what I feel like has helped me in pursuing this industry and just most pursuits is that whereas other businesses, they have like a tangible product, my product is me and my talent. I need to know what I can do, what I'm capable of, who it resonates with, and fucking sell it.
And
like,
you're completely in control of that.
Yo, my managers laugh because I'll be like, Q3 was whack. Like, if I don't book anything, and they're like, wait, did you just say Q3 was whack? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, honestly, just go back to the board of directors and let them know we're gonna tighten shit up. Because I'm like, this is a fucking company, and I'm the CEO. Like, I need to know everything that's happening. Like, I want to know my contracts. I want to know this. Like, I almost wanted to take entertainment law just because I was like, I don't need anyone fleecing me when I'm doing my fucking contracts. Everyone's good, but I was like, I don't want to be that person who's like, I'm screwed now just because I was ignorant and let everyone.
How important do you feel that is? Like that.
You have to know. Like, this is not even acting. This is business. Like, if you have a business, you need to know. Like, you should be able, like, okay, let's say a film set. If your craft service person isn't there, you need to figure out how the fuck to lay out your, like, dinner cloth and set up those, like, knives and forks. If it's production, if it's sound, like, you need to know how to do everything. I know how to do my makeup. I know how to do my hair. I know how to dress myself. Like, I know how to redirect myself on a set. If I know that I just did a take that didn't seem authentic, I'll literally, like, the director will be like, that was great. And I'll be like, I need one more.
It was like, what?
That was great. I didn't feel like it was great. I might be wrong, but I feel like I have something better in me with something more unique in it. Like, I remember I had an audition. I think it was for Insecure. Yeah, I know you're a fan. And
love Insecure.
Yeah, and I did my scene, and the casting director was like, that was great. And I was like, honestly, can I do it again? And she was like, what? And I was like, I was like, honestly, I think I can go so much deeper. Like, I was like, I feel like I can bring so much more depth to this. And, like, you don't always have a situation where you get a first chance. So you got to bring it the first time. Yeah. But in that instance, I was like, it won't hurt if I ask. And she was like, I think she was kind of like, okay, like, whatever, like, all right, like, fine, you know. And she was like, if you think there's another one, kind of like, you better make sure this shit pops, you know. And I did it again, and she was like, you were right. Literally, the minute I finished, she was like, you were right. That was way better. And I was like, she was cool with what I did before. Yeah. But that scene, like, sometimes, and I try and tell people this, like, you may not always book what you go in for, but every audition is an audition for the next audition. Because if you go in and you're like, you look unprepared, you are unprepared, you don't know where you are, there's a fucking wrinkle in your damn resume and, like, coffee stain on your, like, headshot, they're going to be like, wait, there are 1,500 other girls who would have killed to have this appointment slot, and you're acting like it's just, like, it fell in your lap? Like, no. And so even if I know I'm not right for a role, I'll go in there like I'm going to win an Oscar for it, because I want them to know, like, she took this part seriously, she's professional, she's responsible, and I can trust that if I bring her in, again, and I don't do a pre-read with her, and I just have her meet straight with the director or producers, they won't look at me like, why the hell are you wasting our time with this chick who's not prepared? Like, I want to make the casting director feel like they're doing their job.
Every person along the way is being touched.
Absolutely. And you like just never know. Like when I auditioned for Harriet the Spy, I started talking to this older woman who was outside at like the receptionist desk, and like we were just like joking around and blah 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 blah. And after I booked the movie, I found out she was the producer of Harriet the Spy, but she was just working there because like her office was being tended to. So the whole time I was like, blah, 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 shit, blah, 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 blah. You know, all the other girls were like in their scripts. Yeah. I should have been studying, but I was like, I'm already memorized. I don't care, you know, like, and yeah, I don't know. It's just.
It's those moments though.
It's little things, and like even in the audition.
And those are the moments you can't control. Like cats aren't coming in there being like, where's the producers?
Right.
Let me go have an authentic conversation.
Yeah. Because every authentic conversation starts with let's have an authentic conversation.
Like let me go bump into them and have a really authentic conversation.
Let me show them how real I am.
Like
no. It was little things like in that audition I remember like the casting director, I feel like I don't think they asked me, but like Janie was like a weird scientist, and I remember in the audition, rather than sitting on the chair, I like was on the chair like this, like just being like weird, like a fucking weirdo. And I was like, blah, 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 science, this and that. Blah, blah, blah. And they were just like, even if they were like, we're terrified of this chick. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was something different.
Yeah.
And it made them remember me. So I'm glad I stood on the chair.
You better damn right be glad you sit on the chair.
Footprints on your seat.
How do you deal with, from actors that I know and actresses that I know, how do you deal with just the constant kind of flow of auditions, but being rejected or not getting the part? Because
I don't. I cry and I call my therapist.
Because coming from like what you said, like every audition is like for the next audition, right? Mm-hmm. But how do you balance that, knowing that if you're not getting those parts, and how do you kind of persevere through that, or kind of keep going and balance that side of it? Because it's kind of like music, right? You know that you got to like play your shows, you got to record, you got to do this, and there's really you release your music, you do your best, but there's no guarantee that this is gonna like relate with the fans or it's gonna succeed or anything like that. But you got to keep going anyway and like have that faith, like you talked about, right? But how do you understand that balance of keep pursuing these auditions and how important that is, not giving up on that, and also balancing just like life shit, like paying bills and just having like a normal life with that, and kind of, because that's more real of like a real actor's world, not like the 0.00001%
like
of the fucking Brad Pitts and you know, Meryl Streeps of the world.
No, I mean,
and some of those cats didn't even make it to their way older.
Yeah,
but like being
I'm still trying to figure out how to balance it.
But being like a true working actress.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I think maybe it's because if I had started this maybe 5 years ago, it would probably be really hard, but this is my normal. Like this has always been my normal. It would be abnormal for me to not act. Like, and I realized that a couple years ago. I was like, this is my normal. Like it would be, I could never see myself like not auditioning and like going to improv shows and fucking around with my friends and doing web series and filming and stuff like that. Like that is a part of my DNA. It's hard because, you know, you go through times where you're just rejected, and most of the time you don't even know why. Like it might not be that you were the worst actor, it might be that actress B has 50,000 more followers than you on Instagram, and this company cares about that more, you know?
It could be a million things.
It could be a million things, and it's kind of like, and sometimes I ask myself, and like trying to answer this question, like what is it that intrinsically keeps me going? And the only thing I can, and this is gonna be like corny as hell, but I must fucking love it, because that's gotta be the only reason. Like,
absolutely,
you know what I mean? I'm not rich and I'm not like known by everyone, but like there is something in me that I can't put a word on that makes me want to keep on doing this. I feel like somewhere, regardless of if I know what time it is, I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
If you didn't, you wouldn't be doing this right now.
And, sometimes I think I'm like, because I can be I think just the way we are as people, not even like entertainment, like certain people are very hard on themselves. Yeah. Very hard on themselves. And I've had some friends who like really know me just be like, God, like, Vanessa, do you know how much you've done? Like, not even booking, like you've accomplished so fucking much. Like, how about you just like be easy on yourself? Like, you would never say this type of shit to like an aspiring actress or to one of us or your brother. Like, don't speak to yourself that way, And I got to a point, and I'm still working on it, obviously, where I realized like there's no reason to doubt my talent or my ability anymore, because I would have not had any success or any little successes along the way, know? So I try to stay grounded, like remember what's important, like at the end of the day, like I got food in my stomach, a roof over my head, all my people are healthy, and I'm happy. Like, and this is just extra shit. Like, it makes me happier, but it doesn't define who I am. Like, I don't feel like there's a huge part of me that would be missing if I stopped acting, but I don't feel like I would no longer be Vanessa. So I think I have a sense of self without this. It's just something, it makes up a large portion.
Which is very important.
Of who I am, but like, I've realized, whether it's musicians or like actors who either give up or they've realized like it's not going to work out or they just stop, a lot of them don't know who they are without being able to identify with this thing that they've been doing. Yeah. And as much as I love acting and being an actress and a creative, like that's not all I am. That's not just me, like. And so I think because of my upbringing, like being in school and extracurricular activities and like charities and just like being exposed to so many things, I feel like if this doesn't work out, which is very likely it might not, I mean, I'll be okay. At least I've had successes and I gave it a try rather than being too afraid to fail. Like right now I'm good. Like if I were to die tomorrow, I'd be like, I'm pretty cool with my life. Like met some amazing people, did some amazing things. And I think I've possibly changed the trajectory of like the world while I was here. And that's all I can really fucking ask for.
Absolutely.
It's difficult though. But like, one thing that has happened, like when I had my lull was I started writing. I was like, wait a second. I'm telling everyone else's stories and I have stories to tell. Like not many years on this planet, but I've seen a lot of shit and I have very specific views and strong opinions about things. So I've started writing like little webisodes, little pilots, stuff like that. We'll see what happens with that. Awesome. But it's fun and it's just interesting. Like, sometimes I like get a script and I'm like, this is the worst shit I've ever read. And a month later it's on TV. Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
I can, so I will.
in all of these like lows and just like the natural flows of life, like, is it all acting that's supporting you, or do you you know what I'm saying? Do you take different jobs? Like, how does that work? Like, everybody has this picture of like, oh, we're acting and we're just gonna like do this and be starving artists, right? I don't really get that from you. And
I like to eat. Starving is not my deal. Nah.
So what was that like balancing factor in terms of like work for you in the in between periods? You know what I'm saying? Naturally, it's gonna get to a point where it's like, okay, cool, like we're booking, and we're booking big gigs, and this next gig is gonna give me residuals for a few years. I can map it out.
Yeah, it's whenever I look for jobs, it's usually jobs where it's flexible and I can do it on my own time.
Got it.
And I remember when probably the slow period when I went in for a job interview and the woman Googled me while I was there and she was like, oh, you're an actress. And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh no, you've done work. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, first of all, she's like, you're overqualified for this job. And she goes, but I can't hire you. And I was like, why? She's like, because I know that the minute you book something, you're going to leave. And based on your resume, that could be in like a week. And I was like, thank you for the compliment. Like, so I'm not getting the job because you think that I have a career. Like, cool, you know? The thing is, I've been working with this one company for like 10 years where I do contracted work for them. They're an event company, and it's fantastic because it's not every day. Mm-hmm. It might be like, Vanessa, we need you to do some like research. Cool, I could do that at home, map out my own hours, read my scripts, do this, go to acting class, blah, 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 blah. So what it's always been for me is, well, can I audition? Cool. If I have to leave to film, are you guys going to like give me hell? I'm going to go regardless, but are you going to give me hell when I leave? Okay, cool. Perfect. Then this will work out.
Got it.
Know that this is a means to an end for me. Like, and yes, it's money. Luckily, I still have residuals and I'm booking and doing things like that. But more for me, it's about using my time efficiently. Because if you're wasting time, like in this industry, like, or like not doing anything with your time, that's when the thoughts of like inadequacy and what is everyone else doing, and everyone's living the fucking best life on social media. Yeah. The best life. Like, you know what I mean? And
they're having dinner at like just straight like thuggish spot.
Yeah, they're like literally having dinner on a cloud in Mount Olympus with the finest fucking
But you don't see
fruit.
that credit card statement where it's like, bruh, like you can't have one more dinner like this so you'll max out.
Right. And so like it's one of those things where I just really want to be whatever it is that I view myself, like the authentic version of who my core is. I'm just trying to get to that. Like who I don't know. I know so many, and it's also too, like, I know so many incredible people. And by incredible, I mean like they're brilliant, like creative. They're doing things that like I couldn't do.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And I admire them. And I like being around those type of people. Like, you guys are making me feel like all extra squishy and warm and fuzzy inside about my life. Like,
that's how
so many amazing people and
you're
things.
making me feel extra squishy and ooey gooey, like just listening to this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Joe, are you like, damn, I didn't know Vanessa had depth?
You're deep. Wait, you're being authentic?
You're deep?
Yeah, I'm
Wait,
deep
you're
like
deep?
The
You're
fucking
deep.
Pacific.
You're authentic. No, I mean it's true though. It's like, I think that's just the more real shit of what it means to be like an actor or just be a fucking like person on this journey.
Yeah.
You know, there's no like end point to this.
Bro, even person in general, like, bro, accountants are going through this shit.
Yeah.
Like, let's wake the fuck up. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like, cats are living their lives. Now, there are few people in whatever industries they are that have the love to do what they want to do. They could be getting a paycheck while they learn or XYZ. And then there's these creative paths where it's like, you're not going to get paid shit until you're making us a lot of fucking money, and us being the powers that be. But at the same time, I feel like the beauty and the human aspect of all of these things, and you touched on this earlier, Ness, is like, you have to love what you're doing, right? And it's okay not to, because knowing that you don't will allow you to find something that you do if you're willing to go that length. Right, there's a lot of people in the entertainment industry, in the acting field, that are working actors that are making incredible money, but nobody knows who the fuck they are.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody has these like Tinseltown dreams, but there's voiceover actors making fucking like 400 to fucking couple million a year, like just thugging. There's actors and actresses that are on like XYZ networks that you may never know them in like the fucking Hollywood premiere light, but they're over here clearing millions a year.
And I'm so glad I was talking to a friend about this last night. There's this movie, a documentary called That Guy Who Was in That Thing. And basically what they do is they follow like 12 working actors in Hollywood that you've never heard of. But once you see them, you're like, oh shit. Okay, yeah, he was
that
guy in that one movie, just like they named the damn movie, you know?
Yeah.
And it's amazing because they speak about their experiences in such a raw way. Like some of these dudes are doing fantastically, and then when you go to the IMDb, you're like, shit, I've been scrolling for half the damn year, and some of them are not, you know?
Yeah.
But it's amazing because like everyone wants to be Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
It's like the 1%, you know? Like,
Yes,
that's like real.
That's where the attention comes in, right?
Right.
It's like, ask yourself, if you were going to be in even, let's say, a band, right? If you were going to be in a band, you're a touring musician, you're a bass player, you're clearing $200,000 a year, but like that's chump change in consideration of like global superstars. But you're clearing $200K a year, you're touring the world, you're doing what you love. Like, do you love that?
Right.
Or are you not happy?
But it's also about like selling out. Like, I know people who I can tell when my friends have gotten to a point where they've lost faith in their own ability and the possibility of them making it, because they start doing shit that's like temporary gratification and like short-term validation, as opposed to like holding out for what they really want their career to be. Like, last year I was offered to be on this reality TV show that a lot of girls would probably have fucking done. And at the time, my manager was going through some family issues, and I didn't want to bother her with it. So I just took the meeting on my own. And I'm in there with the producers of the show, and they're just like, you know, we think you'd be great for this show. Like, we know you're like, and I'm like very weary and hesitant when it comes to reality TV. Like, unless I have a fucking editing credit on it. Yeah. Nah.
What does that mean?
Like, I want to have
final say.
Exactly. I want to have creative control or an input on how you're cutting it. Because here's the thing. In LA, we all know this shit is fake. But in certain parts of the world, they don't get that it's scripted. It's scripted reality TV.
Yeah, 100%.
What? It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I don't need people to think that I'm portraying a real version of myself that's actually an edited version to fit into whatever this show is. Yeah. And so they're sitting there and they're like, you know, we just think this, that, and the other, blah, blah, this and that. And then like, they could tell that I was hesitant. And I let them know, like, I don't even fucking watch your show. Like, I think this is like everything like I stand against, you know, like, like, I'm like, it's cool. But I was like, I watched like the spoof of your shit on Comedy Central, but I don't, and they actually started dying. They were like, that's fucking hilarious. And they're like, we like love how real you are and this, that, and the other. And I was like, thank you. Like, that's great. And they're like, we really think that this can open up so many doors for you.
Oh, yeah. And you're like,
No, and I was like, yeah, see, but the thing is, I'm more concerned about the doors it'll close. And after that, I think they were like, oh. Like, I was like, I'm sure it will.
They're like, oh, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I was like, no, I think you're absolutely right. But you're assuming that I want to enter those buildings. Like, that might not be where I'm trying to like reside, like to keep the door thing going, you know, like I'm like,
totally.
Like I have an idea and I try and tell
and
people.
that just shows you that plays on the fickle though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. Like it's like a get rich quick scheme, like get famous quickly. Yeah. But it's like, I know a lot of friends who did that, and there's something very, I think, isolating with that type of fame, because you know it's so fleeting. Yes. You have to keep on doing extra and more, and always like thinking about like, if I don't produce content or make myself relevant, will I be relevant?
Yeah,
like
gone.
I don't want to fucking have to make myself relevant. I am relevant. Yes. Like I'm going to do relevant shit that's going to resonate with people, and then I just like, that's me wiping my hands, people. Wiping my hands dry, and it just and it speaks for itself. Like I don't need to like desperation. That's like so 2012. I'm so good on that. I'm so good. But yeah, like I think I'm very grounded in what I want to do and where I want to go.
And that takes sacrifice.
There's no fucking reason to settle.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Absolutely.
Like, you might say no. Okay, I'm going to keep on until I find the person who says yes. Because someone might get my vision. It might be that it's like too progressive, wrong timing, you don't get it, I'm not pitching it right, whatever it may be. But like, if I'm grounded and believe in whatever it is that I'm trying, it's going to be good. Like,
absolutely.
Considering that it's also good.
1 trillion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to protect your I won't say the word brand, but it's like you got to protect.
Absolutely, though.
You know, because like you said, you are a business, and like this is.
But you also have to protect your being. Yeah, like it's brand and
there
being.
We go. Brand.
I tell people, I'm like, look, you have to be able to lay your head on your pillow at the end of the night and actually like who you are.
For real.
Like, you have to. Yeah. Like, and I couldn't think of like a worse prison cell than like having this amazing image being projected to the world, and then you going home at night in your quiet, introspective moments and being like, I'm a fraud. No, I'm good on that. Like, no.
That would
I would much rather like
the psyche.
Yeah, I would much rather like project how much of a dork and weird and how things aren't going right, or like I have struggles too.
It's being vulnerable.
Right. Just being fucking real.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a chick who acts. Like, and that's I'm an actress. Like that. Yeah, that's the name of trade. But like
A chick who acts.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on besides that.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is basically it.
That's beautiful. Let me ask you this: if you could have the chance to just, in short, like, if a girl was to come up to you and just be like, "Do you have any advice for me?" Right? Or if you were to speak to the younger you, right? Whether it's any differently or whether it's something that you'd say, like, what would that conversation be like? Just in terms of, like, let's say, like, a young girl wants to go in that field, right? And now today there's so much more that you didn't have to deal with. But, like, what would you just say to that little girl?
Let's see. To little Vanessa aged girls, like, have fun. This is a child's game, but an adult business. Like, what is acting? It's literally make believe.
Yeah.
So keep on being a child and have a blast. Don't worry about the business stuff. That's it. Because like with a kid, it's not that they don't need to know the business aspect of it. They just need to enjoy themselves and know that they're having fun. And if you like doing this, keep on doing it. Don't worry about all the extra. Don't worry about money or responsibilities or agents and booking. These are definitions that in vocabulary words that don't apply to you. Have fun. This is like recess. Okay.
Yeah, for real.
So go out there and like win the handball game. That's it.
Straight up.
Older women, the first thing that came to my mind is like who, what, where, why, when.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Like, you need to know who the fuck you are if you're going to be in this industry.
Absolutely.
Why are you doing this? Are you doing it because you want people to think you're like pretty and cool? And that's fine. That's completely fine. But like, what is the reason? Because I know a lot of people who think it's all fun and games, and we've come back to this subject a million times. Like, you have to be resilient and you have to be resourceful, and you got to be have the thickest skin. Like, I've had like agents that I was meeting with prior to my current representation, sitting down with them at like big agencies. And I had this lady be like, oh my God, Vanessa, no, but seriously, like, no, wait, no. And she's turning to me, isn't she? She's like, oh, she's so, oh my God, I love her so much. And I'm like, whoa, this is the fakest shit I've ever experienced in my life.
Oh my
and then
God.
she turns to me and she's like, see, here's the thing. You're a little bit too old for us. And I was like, and the first thing that went through my head was like, wait a second. My fucking manager is on her shit. And if she hit you up, you know how old I am.
Yeah.
So don't play that shit with me. I'm not that fucking stupid. I'm not stupid. Like, not that fucking, I'm not stupid at all, right?
Yeah.
So then she turns to me and she's like, but when you decide to have kids, bring them over here because we'll sign them right away.
What?
When I tell you I walked out of that
What
shit,
the
like,
fuck?
Like, I literally walked out of there like, I'm about to become so famous just so I can like go back to her and be like, thank you for not signing me. Like, that's that crazy shit, okay? Yeah. But it's like, you have to have things in because like, you're going to deal with way more of that than you're going to deal with people kissing your ass. People usually start kissing your ass when they realize like, I have to.
Yes.
Because she's been put on and I don't want to be out of the circle.
Yeah.
I just feel like you have to really ask it, like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And if you're doing it because you genuinely love it, then you absolutely should. Because I believe that when you love to do something, you're not working a day in your fucking life. And as cliche as that sound, it's true. Like, I get projects and I like drop everything. I'm like, time to read a script, time to be transported. Yeah. Let's see what's up. What the fuck am I going to wear? How am I going to, like, it's so much fun because every single audition, I'm like, it's like uncovering a code. Like, how do I figure out how this person operates? How do they handle things in this situation?
Yeah.
I'm no longer me. I can't judge this. Like, there's a lot of things like I can't play a character that I judge because where's the empathy? Like, even someone who's committing a murder doesn't think that the murder is wrong. They justify why they're doing it. And to them, there's absolute reason and they should be doing it. So like, I don't know, the answer's a little bit all over the place, but I feel like if you're doing it just because you like want to be liked or like want to be famous or known or all those like superficial type of things, like fame is great. You can do amazing things with a platform. But like, this is not the type of industry. It's not a commission-based industry. Like you may never make a dime. If you don't book, you're not making a dime. And like, you know, like a Sprint commercial at the beginning of the year for $50,000, like, and residuals is great. But if you don't work for the next 2 years, you just like netted $25,000 for 2 years. It's not bomb. You're under the poverty line, my friend. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
for real.
So it's all relative. Yeah. Like, I have friends who were like, buy me dinner. You just got McDonald's. And I'm like, what? Bro, you have a fucking job with a legitimate paycheck. Buy me dinner. Like, like you always know when your shit's coming in. I don't know when. I like just go on SAG and be like, hey, May's gonna be dope. June's gonna suck. You know what I mean? Like, you buy me dinner. What the hell is going? Pay for my fucking time texting you. What is happening right now? Like, real. It's crazy. But
it's a very like it's an alternate universe. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh. And I have a lot of friends. It's like, I have a lot of friends that are doing amazingly now. Like, like I have one friend that I remember when I started following him, like 400 followers on Instagram. Now he has like 5 million, is on one of the biggest network shows ever. Like, and I have multiple friends like that. Yeah. And we've all gone through that process where you're just like, why am I doing this? And it's funny because last year, I kind of had a, why am I doing this moment? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm spending this money, and I'm like going to these auditions and this and that. I have a Prius, so like I never spend any fucking money on gas or whatever. But like, I'm putting so much effort into it. Why? You know? And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time to like switch gears again. But I kept on acting. But what happened was I had, in this process, let go of my attachment to the results of what I was doing. And that was the game changer.
That's very liberating.
What? Like, I stopped trying to control or whatever it was that I was doing. I just went in there, I did my shit, and then I left. And that's when I started booking. Like, so much. Like, incredible. At the end of last year, my people were like, what's happening? Like, we want new photos. You need to do this. You need to do that. Because, like, the momentum was building because I stopped trying so damn hard. And, like, my little brother, he's hilarious. So, he works at Treyarch. He's in video games. And I remember, like, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, before... like, I had an audition at Warner Brothers, and he was like, yo, V, can you pick me up at my friend's house in Burbank? I was like, okay. My audition was bad. And, like, sometimes you have auditions where you go out and you just, like, feel shitty. Like, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, no, sometimes you just have bad auditions. You don't need to make it ruin your whole day. But at that point, I was sad. And my brother was like, ugh, what is this like? Oh, you're bringing me down, dude. What's going on, you know? Yeah. And I was like, I just had this audition and like I didn't do well. And I'm like, so like I'm upset and this and that. And he was like, you know what, V? I think you just want it too badly. And I was like, what? And it's always, I don't know if you have siblings, but like when your younger sibling like spits some knowledge on you, you're like, wait, fuck you. You're younger. Don't you are not smart. You're not even smart. Don't even try.
You're trying too hard.
Mom can do this shit.
Like, I remember when you couldn't walk, so don't do it, you know? And so he was like, Vanessa, I think like you just want it too badly. And his way of like, his analogy was like, you know, sometimes I'll be playing like a video game and like I really want to fucking beat that level. Like I just want to beat it so badly because like there's an achievement I'm gonna unlock, and like I'm thinking of all the things that will happen once I beat that level. And I become obsessed with it to the point where I kill the reasons why I got to that level in the first place. And he's like, sometimes you just gotta let go and step away from it. And he's like, and then you go back and you fucking smash that level. And I was sitting there like, look at you, little like Sega Genesis,
don't you?
Like Sega Genesis philosopher. What is happening right now?
Yeah, for real.
Or like Xbox because it's not 1995, and it was crazy because literally the next day or later that day, I got the call from that producer like, hey, I'm doing this pilot called Reconstruction about the slave times. We want you to go for it. And Kevin was like, see, you didn't have to do shit. Like, he was like, let go. And I was like, ew. Yeah. Ew, you're right. Hate you.
Shout out.
Shout outs to Kevin, little brother, you're the best.
Vanessa, it was an absolute pleasure having you.
This is amazing.
On.
This is so great.
Like, for real,
so
for
good
real.
for my soul.
No, you're amazing.
Yeah,
okay, guys.
You are amazing.
Thanks.
And this was incredible for our soul.
100%.
Silky and stone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad we made this happen.
Yeah, and like I truly, you know, wish nothing but the best for you. Like, this sounds so much like a fucking like
Go to college.
Yeah.
We're so emotional right now. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, but like it's only a matter of time, and that's just saying for your flower and your star to blossom as bright as you want it to.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And I look forward to being one of those motherfuckers that hits you up and be like, "Yo,
can I get some free
Shawty,
tickets?
I'm coming to that premiere, right?"
All day.
Yeah, man.
I'll be like, wait a second, you guys didn't put up the tape for a new And then I'll just fire motherfuckers. Like, you know he always gets a seat.
Yeah, you know she got a seat, bro,
right?
Come on, B. What?
I'll be like, what?
No, but I think that you're an inspiration for you know anybody on this path, let alone you know female or male. But it's like it's a testament to the true love of the craft, and it shows. And it's beautiful that we were able to get this story and give it to the culture. You know what I'm saying? Because real people exist, and it's been an absolute fucking pleasure.
You guys are so nice.
No,
this was amazing. I loved this. This is like rejuvenated me for the week and
I'm
just
so
the rest
glad
of the
it did.
year.
Yeah, let's get it.
We feel the same. You ready to hit it up, Nushi?
Hey, yo, mama, we made it.